this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Honestly,
no one wants to think about HIV, but there are things that everyone can do to help prevent it. Things like PrEP. PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it means routinely taking prescription medicine before you're exposed to HIV to help reduce your chances of getting it. PrEP can be about 99% effective when taken as prescribed. It doesn't protect against other STIs, though, so be sure to use condoms and other healthy sex practices. Ask a healthcare provider about all your prevention options, and visit findoutaboutprep.com to learn more. Sponsored by Gilead.
Cool Zone Media.
Hey everybody, Robert Evans here, and I wanted to let you know this is a compilation episode. So every episode of the week that just happened is here in one convenient and with somewhat less ads package for you to listen to in a long stretch if you want. If you've been listening to the episodes every day this week, there's going to be nothing new here for you, but you can make your own decisions. Oh my goodness, it's It Could Happen Here, a podcast that is about things falling apart, our dystopian now and tomorrow, and for the last several days has been heavily about the Consumer Electronics Show, which is a huge event every year where 120 to 150,000 people flood into Las Vegas to show off all of the new gadgets and to have big, fancy panels on the future of technology. And this has been a particularly good year for the dystopia beat part of that, because the entire industry is obsessed right now with artificial intelligence. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. Every laptop manufacturer is basically throwing out laptops with AI assistants. Microsoft's is Copilot. And they're doing this because laptop sales have stalled. A lot of people, like the pandemic was great for laptop sales, and then people stopped buying them because most people don't need to replace their laptops very often. So there's this desperate hope that by scaring everybody into thinking they need AI immediately, they can get folks to buy a new raft of machines. And outside of that, it's just, as I'm sure you're aware, with interest rates where they are, companies, tech companies, particularly startups, are having trouble getting VC money, venture capital money invested in them. So there's this kind of desperate hope that by plugging AI constantly, they can fill in the gap. So today, we have probably in a week or two, we're going to be putting out a long investigation based on a number of panels we went to with executives from Google, from weirdly enough, McDonald's, from Adobe, from NVIDIA, from the Consumer Electronics Association, and multiple government agencies, including DHS, on what they see as the future of AI. That's going to be some pretty in-depth reporting. But today, we want to talk about the AI products that we've been seeing. And as a spoiler, they're basically all the dumbest shit you've ever heard of. So I want to introduce our panel today, coming back after catching a horrible, horrible lung infection, throat infection, some kind of infection. Yeah. Garrison got strep throat. And despite the fact that we've been hanging out together, I did not, which does prove I'm genetically superior. We also have Tavia Mora coming back, our technical expert. Hello, Tavia.
Howdy, everybody.
Mm-hmm. And for the first time not for the first time, for the third time on It Could Happen Here, the upcoming host of the Cool Zone Media tech-focused show, Better Offline, Ed Zitron. Ed!
Wagwan. Hello. How's it going? Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, hit my head on the way in. Yeah, it's a truly awful show this year. The thing that I said to Robert yesterday when we were talking about the show, and that's really stood out to me, is if you had told me this was 2021, I'd have believed you. It doesn't feel, despite the use of the word AI, it does not feel like tech has actually moved that far. And it's very strange.
Yeah, there was this period of time after the iPhone came out where every year there would be really big leaps in the tech you saw, and this part of, I think, why they're leaning on AI so heavily is otherwise it's just the same laptop, smartphones, speakers, connected gadgets, autonomous cars and shit that we've been seeing for years, and they really haven't jumped forward much. But, the downside of that is a lot of things, but the upside of that is people are increasingly cramming AI into insane shit in the hopes that somebody will want to buy it. And so I want to start off, Ed, since you are not just our newest host, but also a Las Vegas native. I think people could probably assume that from your Vegas accent.
Yes, natural.
Yeah. What is your favorite or the first AI product you want to get into today?
I want to talk about the Rabbit R1.
Oh, God, yes.
So this thing is a square box, and I can't tell if it acts without your phone or with your phone, but it uses AI. You speak into it like a walkie-talkie, and it does a series of actions based on what you say. So it can do all the things that Siri could do 5 years ago, like change music and start. But it also has like a 360-degree camera, which can, based on the extremely awkward and agonizing hour-long demo, 25-minute, pardon me, it felt like an hour. It can look at a picture of Rick Astley and start and after several agonizing seconds, start playing Never Give You Up. It can also, it claims, do a series of nuanced actions, like you can say, get me a cab home, and also put on my tunes, and also change the air conditioner to 74 degrees, all in one sentence. Now, you may think, why do I need to spend $200 on a device to do this? And the answer is you don't. You do not need to. This thing looks cool, and on some level, I'm just glad we're getting new tat.
Yeah, the design is not bad. It's like a square. It looks like it's maybe 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches or so, something like that. Yeah, little screen. It's like well designed from an industrial design standpoint. And I think it looks like it's just that it's a basically a Siri that can use app. It can use Uber. It could book a flight for you. One of the things they show is it like planning a vacation in London for you, which does seem to kind of go against the point of like going somewhere new and like figuring out what you want to do there, as opposed to, it's basically pulling from a list I'm sure an AI wrote of like top 10 things to do in London.
And it's just very weird because all of these tech guys who they very loudly claim they're free spirits, they're independent, they're not controlled by any authority, they cannot be manipulated, all desperately want a machine to tell them exactly what the hell to do with their lives. And it's so bizarre because we were discussing the different articles about this and people trying to argue why this thing needs to exist. It's like, oh, it takes out the friction between all these apps. I'm sorry, I just don't think there's that much friction.
Pull up my phone. I'm on Uber.
Yes.
Right? I pull out my phone. I pull up Grubhub. I order food.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's remarkably easy. I don't see how talking to a square is better. Like, it's the same. Like, I could call someone on the phone and do it hands-free, or I could text them, and I always text them because that's more pleasant.
I mean, like, I have my phone open to Signal right now. I can swipe up, go to Uber in less than a second. Saying the words, move from Signal to the Uber app, takes a whole lot longer than just doing it with my thumb.
I also do love the idea of like completely ruining the point of Signal, which is an encrypted, extremely secure messaging app, to be like, hey, random box, I want to feed my private messages through you and have you read them out to me as I go about my day. I don't know what your data retention policy is or what you'll be doing with it.
They sold out and they made $2 million.
So like 10 million of them, or 10,000, sorry.
It's just, and I read like 11 articles about this thing because I occasionally drive myself insane with these things when I see everyone excited about something, but I can't read a single article that tells me why I should buy it. Even though my rat brain says, oh, tech with screen, I want. But then I want to use it. But I'll have to explain this to the normal people in my life, why I have this, and I don't want to do that if it's useless. But on top of that, I just don't think controlling my life with voice is that useful.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I'm already, and I think a lot of people are already kind of fed up with the extent to which my smartphone is a part of my life.
Yeah.
But like, it does irreplaceable tasks at the moment for me, so I have it. This thing is, number one, adding a device, because I think it does require your phone, but it's also like, you know, in addition to the current problems I have with privacy on my smartphone, I am adding another company and another device and another set of potential security flaws to it.
But on top of that, the thing they have failed to explain anywhere, and no journalist apparently has interrogated them about this, is they claim this thing can log onto your Uber and make a flight booking, ostensibly having your passport information, your date of birth, and all this stuff. First and foremost, that's, like you mentioned, the data retention policy is very strange. But where is this crap all happening? Is it happening on my phone? Is my phone just doing all this? I refuse to believe that. So are you doing this in a kind of virtual machine environment? How is that possible? Surely these companies are going to have a problem with that. Mark Sullivan for Fast Company actually, I think, asked them this, and they were like, oh yeah, they'll be fine with it. They just want people using their apps. I do not think they're going to be fine with this. Companies hate it when they hand off power from the user, who will still be liable, to another computer.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is just that, like, part of me kind of suspects, and when you watch the video, we'll play a clip from it in a second, the CEO of Rabbit very clearly, like a lot of guys in tech, wants to be Steve Jobs. And I will say one thing I kind of suspect that might actually be, that would be a Steve Jobs move, is he may have just been hoping that this thing coming out, selling a shitload on pre-order and getting huge buzz would force these companies after the fact to allow integration. Like, he may just be gambling, like, if I get enough buzz behind me, Uber and whatnot will come to the table and be willing to work with me because suddenly this is like the hippest new gadget.
Except 10,000 customers is actually not that many. And I actually look forward to, I really can't wait for like 2 months to pass, people to get this, and someone to end up like sending the word penis to their all company Slack because they wanted to order pizza. And on top of that, ordering a flight, ordering an Uber, these are actually really nuanced actions. Coming to Mandalay Bay tonight, Uber took me to the wrong place because it decided it wanted to go to the convention center. I did not select that. If you go to the airport, you need to put in Southwest Airlines or what have you. With Grubhub, you need to do little bits. It's just, most people don't order lunch. They order something for lunch. And I just don't, this whole thing just feels useless.
Yeah. See, for me, it's the additional level of abstraction on top of these already abstracted apps that we use to order our basic like necessities, like eating and things like that. It worries me in sort of like a fantasy dystopic way what happens when people suddenly don't use it after getting used to using it. Like, what are they going to know? Are they going to know how to operate a DoorDash app? Are they going to know how to book a flight? That kind of thing.
Yeah, it is kind of, because one of the things, there was a CNET review that said, like, well, the potential of this is that it completely removes physical use of a device. So you're using these apps, but they're just a part of your life. Uber is just a thing you talk to. You never look at anything when you do it. And I'm like, is that better? Like, I don't like the idea that you basically have a robot that you treat as like your nanny that plans your life for you. Like the amount of hype over, there will be a more concerted piece about this coming out. But the first thing I thought when I looked at all these guys talking about how cool it was to be able to just tell a robot to book your flight and plan your travel and book your hotels for you, that's like part of the experience of traveling, and like choosing things to do is like one of the things that traveling is. And the desire so many people have to hand off elements of choice really reminds me of like cult dynamics. And I don't think this is a consumer thing. I think this is specifically a weird subculture of tech people, of AI people, a lot of the same folks who got into NFTs, but this desire to like, life is so complex and scary, I want to hand over all of my agency to a robot. It's the same thing that is behind a lot of like why people join cults. And I don't think this is a societal problem, but I think it is a weird problem with the group of people who are most excited to have a fucking rabbit.
It seems like a sad thing to me that folks might only attend bars or restaurants that are rated like 4.5 and above. That's decided by something else.
Yeah.
And they don't get to have this like experience of walking into like the seediest bar you've ever seen in your life and have like maybe possibly like a life-changing experience.
I was just in South Korea, and we went to this fried chicken place that ended up being closed. Actually, it was like we opened, but nobody was there, which made me just want to leave before getting killed. And so I just went to a random chicken place across the road from my hotel. And I thought, well, it'll feed me. It was wonderful. It was delightful. And I could not find any reviews for it. It was just a flipping place. And I think these people who are desperate for a device like this kind of weird nanny device, first of all, I don't think they think about the practicalities of this. I don't think this is quicker or easier or better. But also they're like, oh, I wish I could just say one thing and all of these things could happen for me. Same people, by the way, who are saying that people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and do things for themselves. It's just, I don't know if I'd even call it dystopian. It's just weird and sad to me.
Speaking of weird and sad, we're going to move on to the next product in a second. But first, I got to play everybody, in case you haven't seen it or heard it, the CEO of Rabbit trying to rickroll the audience with his hell device. Have you seen this, Garrison? Oh, okay. Eyes on the screen, everybody.
To activate the eye, just double tap the button. Oh, funny seeing you here, Rick.
Let me take a look. Never gonna give you up. Playing now, enjoy.
What? Am I getting rickrolled in my own keynote? Let's move on to the next one.
All right, I have a question real quick. So what is the functionality he just activated? Is it that you just point the eye at something and it chooses an action?
Did the eye automatically see Rick Astley and choose to play one specific song of his? Because that actually doesn't seem like a feature. That seems like a bug.
Yeah, that seems like what happens if it sees certain people.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, what happens if it sees Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, plays children screaming? Like, how does this thing work?
Booking trips to Florida.
Maybe it's respectable that they showed how bad the lag is, because that moment where there's quiet after he like clicks on it is like it's loading, it's processing for a considerable period of time.
And it's just also, I feel for the bloke because I know he was probably so excited to do this and he was like, I'm going to be Steve Jobs. But man, when you can't perform, you don't perform. Like,
yeah, that's bad delivery.
Did I just get rickrolled in my own video? It was like that. I forget what the movie's called. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, it is. And obviously, like, English isn't his first language, but like, it's a performance. You practice, right? You get coached and stuff because you're trying to represent your company.
Oh, I tell you this from experience as I've run a PR firm. Yeah, that guy actually did practice because all of that was his actual timing wasn't bad. He just does not have that dog in him.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring in other people to do like that. Anyway, everybody, anyone's mind on the Rabbit changed having seen that?
Absolutely not.
Garrison has a look on their face.
No, it's just like what I've always wanted in a tech gadget is be able to point a 365-degree camera at a picture of a musician and then wait 30 seconds and then have an AI pick a random song of theirs. That's always what I wanted for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the dream fucking Archimedes had.
That's right.
When he was building his laser.
That's right.
That we all saw in the most recent Indiana Jones film. Speaking of the most recent Indiana Jones film, this podcast is entirely sponsored by that movie. So here's some other ads.
Why are we giving free advertising to Disney? Why are we... Why?
Because that movie was so close to being worth it. That last 20 minutes
If they fully committed.
No, Nazis machine gunning Roman legionnaires was amazing.
Pretty funny. Well, do you know who would have loved CES? Archimedes, probably.
Yes.
He probably would have had a great time. What next?
Garrison, why don't you go?
AI product do we want to talk about?
How about the pet one, Garrison? You saw that.
All right. So I think me and Ed both saw ChatGPT for Animals.
God damn it.
Which is not really what it is saying. It's like it scans a picture of your dog and then tries to tell you if it has any health problems based on that picture. You're not actually talking to your dog or anything. It takes pictures of animals and then it analyzes it to tell you how the dog is feeling. Blah 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 blah. I saw a product like this earlier at CES. I saw a product like this last year. They're just calling it ChatGPT because it's an AI name. It's
hip, like, because people they're hoping that will make people spend money on.
It was every CES I see something that begins to make me disassociate, and I walked past there in Blovo, the ChatGPT for and my brain was just like, just like start like glitching out. And then when I went to look it up, as Garrison did, I was so disappointed because I hoped that these were just crackpots who were like, yep, you put the microphone to your dog, now you know what your dog's saying. that I would respect, even if it didn't work. Just if you're like, yeah, fuck it, yeah, your cat said he hates you. Your cat's been radicalized, I'm afraid.
See, there's a fun product in here, which is you sell to Rubes, a product that you're like, it translates your dog's micro expressions into language, and then the actual paying customers are sickos like us, and you just take control of somebody's pet's voice.
That'd be
and
so
you can,
cool.
You can have their, like, yeah, your cat's racist now, your dog's a Nazi. Like,
this is the perfect product for H.P. Lovecraft. You would have loved this.
No, if you gave me like the show Lie to Me, but for dogs on my phone, I would spend whatever you want, $1,000. And I will.
Yeah, I would pay like average West Coast rent prices to be able to like gaslight some family into thinking their dog is a terrorist.
See a friend of mine. Oh, what's wrong, Ed? ChatGPT said that my dog's joined ISIS, and I don't know how he did it, but he's talking about a caliphate according to the app. I don't know what this app is bankrupting me. I paid $4,500 for this app a month. I don't know why I need it.
So I unfortunately had to miss yesterday. So there was probably an endless number of tech innovations that I was unable to see because I had to miss one day. But with the help of penicillin, I was able to return today to do one final
walk.
Chat
GPT of antibiotics.
That is exactly what my doctor said, actually. But I did swear revenge on CES, so I just walked around mostly the Venetian, just seeing all of the worst things I could find and documenting them, so I could get revenge from that twink poisoning me with strep throat. So the first really good thing is this. I mostly walked around the award-winning sections because that's where you find only the best. There was an award-winning speaker called Audio CU that all of their marketing was built from this horrible AI image generation of this like extremely busty blonde woman in a latex suit. But if you zoom in onto her fingernails, her fingernails are like sticking through the wrong side of her fingers.
Oh my god! It's the woman's from what that one movie for? Oh damn it! Not Skin. The other. There was the woman where the alien was sexy and then she killed people when she had sex with them. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Yes.
Readers, call in and say what that is.
Yeah, it looks just like that. It says "relax, stick it in," which is pretty funny. So that was pretty bad.
No, I respect that. That's a baller move right there.
Again, this is for a speaker company.
It's like DJ girlfriend in the shape. Oh, it's a speaker in the shape of a girlfriend.
Nope, it's just home theater speakers.
They just have a horrible AI generated woman as their spokesperson.
I mean, I would buy it if it was DJ girlfriend, though.
DJ girlfriend is a great idea for a product and might stop several mass shootings.
AI has brought back sexism.
Yeah. If you do DJ girlfriend right, you could stop at least one mass shooting.
Finally, we have a real solution.
Now, another product that won the CES 2024 Innovation Awards is an AI-powered coffee brewer and grinder system. I'm just going to read the description.
That's what coffee's been missing.
That's right. I know we wake up every morning, make our little French press coffee. That's fine, but you know what could be better? An AI system that does it for you. I'm going to read the award description for this product. Okay. Introducing Barista Brew, coffee brewer and grinder system, a smart coffee system that tailors your brew to perfection. With AI-guided personalization, easily adjust brewing parameters for a custom cup. No expertise needed. Rate, track, and refine your brews. Brew IQ, AI suggestions for your ideal taste. Simplify with one-touch favorites. Elevate your coffee experience.
Yeah, when I hear all that, the one thing I think is simplify. That's simple. The movie was Species, by the way.
So I love that movie. One of the best H.R. Geiger art utilizations.
Oh, yeah, and easily the horniest movie of the 1990s. Like, there's not a lot of
which is a high bar. So on this AI coffee maker, on the front there's a little control panel with 9 different settings that you can change because they're all on a graph. We have citrus, spice, nutty, fruity, balanced, cocoa, floral, herbal, and honey. So you can with the ease of a touchpad start to customize your own AI coffee. So that is revolutionary. I'm going to be getting one for Robert this Christmas.
Thank you, Garrison.
Yeah, I know.
I've always thought, you know what I hate is the experience of exploring new flavors on my own and learning new ways of brewing coffee, a beverage I consume every day. So I'm glad to be handing that whole experience off to a machine.
That's right. And I know a lot of people use...
Tavia just brought something up that I think is relevant here.
It's a Guardian article about an AI smoothie shop that opened in San Francisco well before CES. That is a combination of it's being driven forward with AI technology as well as 5G stuff that I think had opened up and then like 3 weeks later had shut down.
Oh, that's too bad.
They were like, a robot will pick the perfect smoothie for you.
Well, I actually want to bring...
works.
I want to bring something else. So I love smoking meat. I have pellet smokers at home. And I saw a few times on this show AI grills. And I just looked up one called Brisk-It Smart Grill. And I was like, how could you possibly make a thing which is basically maintaining hot air in a tube for long enough until the food's done? And what it is it has a thing you can ask the grill, what seasoning should I add to make my chicken skewers spicy? Or how do I sear a medium rare steak? I don't fucking know. Why don't you learn to cook, you twat? Like, it's just like the enjoyable part of cooking is the experimentation and learning taste, but no thank you, just like that goddamn coffee thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to have a human experience.
That's the thing with a lot of these AI solutions, we'll call them, is I feel like they're robbing people of real experiences.
Yeah, for like, no benefit. Like, there's some stuff that, like, you know, the ability of a smartphone to, once you had to be like in a building in order to like access a phone or like use a payphone, now you can connect with people everywhere. That's a clear benefit, right? There's downsides to it, obviously, but it's a clear benefit. But like, now you don't have to learn, now you don't have to cook. You can let a robot do it for you. It's like, well, but why? Cooking is pleasurable. And if I don't want to cook, I will go to a restaurant or order food, and it's cheaper than buying several $1,000 AI device.
I mean, some things are hard to learn, which brings me to the next product.
Not smoking meat, but
well, you know, some things are hard to learn. Kind of like parenting, right?
Oh, good. Okay. Nice. So, you know what, Garrison? I'm proud of you. That was a good segue.
So, AI parenting, especially with your infant child, this was also in the CES awards section, so you know it's going to be legit. I was able to see a demonstration of an AI baby crib that will shake your baby up and down based on facial expression analysis done by an AI. And
yeah, that's what you do.
I'm going to show Ed here. So here's the cutting edge facial expressions. We have anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. And that basically, that data will go into this little crib, which will start shaking and moving up and down based on what they scan on your baby's face.
So, to be clear, there is a product called the Snoo that exists where it... drop my phone there. There's a product called the Snoo, which is like for infants, and it notices when they're fussing and it kind of like lightly rocks them. But the way it rocks them is so very light. It is very much this is what a mother would do with a brand new baby, freshly baked. You don't want to move them too much. That one has like 6 pictures from the intro of Lie to Me and a heart rate monitor. And it's like, yeah, hand over your baby to AI. Great.
Garrett, this product looks like a baby maraca. The pace that you shake it, which is dependent on what pace you make.
Pretty much.
Well, I love it also because like a real scandal, I think it was in the 80s, is like nannies shaking babies to death. Like the idea that like, again, a machine that can only go at a certain pace that's very light. You know, I get that's a labor save, especially for like a single parent or whatnot. Like, you know, some people will need that, but I just worry. I worry that we're not all that far from our first and AI killed my baby.
Well, you know, I think the real beauty of this product is usually when you have a newborn baby, you have to like watch it all night because it'll wake up. You have to like pick it up, pat it, make sure it gets back to sleep. You can just leave that baby in the bed. You can go to the club.
Yeah.
Just leave the baby in the bed. If it starts crying, don't worry. The AI will take over.
We are on the verge of beds that can raise our children, just like the Venture Brothers.
That's right. And those kids turned out fine.
They turned out great.
Perfect specimens, really.
But I think Luckily for you, because I know none of us are babies anymore, but we are all, eventually going to get old, hopefully.
That's a big if.
Hopefully. And there is AI products that will also assist us as we get older using the same AI baby tech here. One of the places that me and Robert stopped by was called Blue Sky AI. It's spelled ridiculously.
Offensively.
And they refused to do an interview. They were not happy. But I was able to get a pamphlet. And they have an AI that I think they're mostly targeting at like older people. But, quote, by comparing the way your facial and vocal behavior changes over time using your facial expressions, facial muscle actions, as well as where you are looking, your body pose, and the tone of your voice, we have the potential to identify and monitor all kinds of medical conditions that manifest in the face or voice. So it's a facial scanning and voice scanning that uses AI to try to diagnose you with medical conditions. Specifically, the guy told us that it's useful for Alzheimer's, and he realized we were journalists and then asked us to go away. It also says,
yeah, that's how you know you've got a good medical device,
a good product at CES. Blue Sky uses a continuous approach, apparent valiance and arousal to measure expressed emotion. This better fits the real human experience of emotional states. This approach allows emotion regions to be defined and to measure the transitions away from and towards these regions. This continuous approach, where appropriate, can be mapped back to a much less exact categorical representation. For example, excited, calm, or angry.
Do they have horny?
They do not have horny.
See,
not that I can see.
Look, if you know old people, one thing they never stop doing is fucking.
No, they do have a list of all human emotions here that charted on a map.
Finally.
That using AI, we can finally figure out what emotions you're feeling based on your face. So you can use this just with your phone camera, with your iPad camera. They do data collection, data analysis. One of the weird use cases that we saw was, I know we saw something similar to this already, but just scanning your face when driving to tell you how you're feeling, which is just quite funny.
Yeah. I could talk about that in a second. What this reminds me of, there was a product a few years ago. It was like a robot for the military, and the idea was this robot can run in dangerous situations and pick up troops that have been injured and run them out, which is probably a thing that will exist at some point and might even save lives, right? I can see how that would be a useful thing in the military. It can be very dangerous to retrieve people, much better for a robot to get shot or blown up in that situation than another person. But to try and comfort the soldiers, they gave the robot the head of a teddy bear, like a metal teddy bear head, and it looked like a fucking nightmare. It was just like, what are you think? Did you talk to, there's all sorts of guys who have been shot in combat. Did you talk to one of them? Did you go, would the experience of having your arm blown off, Corporal, have been more pleasurable if a giant metal teddy bear had entered?
So my first job was working on the characters from Twisted Metal, but then I moved into robotics. It's so cool that how many of these products are very clearly made, funded, prototyped, R&D, hired PR teams. Everyone's done these big presentations without talking to a single fucking human being. It's so cool. Mm. It's so cool how much waste there is at this show where not a single human soul. There is a completely different subject. I realized there was like an AI-powered nail salon thing as well I saw. And I'm like, that's definitely one where you didn't talk to any woman, though.
Yeah.
Because first and foremost, in my experience, a lot of women are scared of a new nail place for fucking up their hands. So are they going to spend $800 goddamn dollars on this thing to maybe get burned? And I saw in this article about it just now that their thing they said was, oh yeah, it's like an Nespresso at home. I've had Nespressos break multiple times. And I realize it may sound weird. How can you break an Nespresso? I'm just built different. But if I can break it, anyone
just like
can.
me and strep throat.
Unbelievable.
So I do have one more product, and then
Well, first, Garrison, I know you have one more product, but we also have one more ad break. We're back. Garrison,
What's your next product?
So we already talked about the Handy, which is
did.
Which is by all accounts actually like works as intended.
It's a good product. The PR people, and we talked to the CEO, were not just knowledgeable, but like remarkably good at keeping a straight face while talking about their jack. That's professionalism.
Yeah.
You have to respect it.
Honestly, that was the most professional booth I saw the entirety of CES. They were really on point.
Yeah, if you are looking for a jack-off machine, I can't recommend anything more highly.
Well, Robert, except for our next product, which is an AI-powered jack-off machine.
Thank God.
So this is called MyHixel. It's the first app.
That's an appealing name. That's
a
name that sounds like sex.
It is the first app for Climax Control to incorporate AI. Now I'm gonna read through their
really redefines edge technology, huh?
Now, I want to make a note before you get into it. The thing that they're claiming this is useful for, there are devices for, and it is a real use case, which is that like premature ejaculation is a serious problem for a lot of men. It's like a quality of life issue, right? Like it stops people from feeling confident. It's a serious problem. There are prosthetic devices people can use to train themselves. That's fine. They already exist. This is basically like, what if an AI could teach you how to come slower?
Yes, and we have a 6-step layout here describing why MyHixel is right for you. For the first step is secure and anonymized data collection. So you can get all of your coming data stored, but don't worry, it's secure.
See, my first question to that is, why is data on me masturbating being collected at all?
Well, it could be because they're putting it towards an 8-week training program.
Oh, no.
So first and foremost, one of the first things on the website for this is just the words "Happy Sex Year." Save $60 on MyHixel Control, but Happy Sex Year is going to be something I think about for a while. But also it says it has MyHixel Care and MyHixel Control, two different things, and then MyHixel Academy. And sadly, you can't click on that because I've never wanted to know more about how much material could there be?
I'm sorry.
Unless
a masturbation academy?
Yeah, I thought they just called that Eton. That was a British public school joke.
It's okay. I made an edging joke earlier and nobody caught it.
Yeah, there's one thing the Eton boys do, and they don't have sex.
No, masturbation.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Part of what I hate about this is its name is so clearly like trying to be respectful and like respectable and a tech product name, as opposed to like one of the things that I respect about the Handy people is they just went ahead and called it Handy.
I mean, it's weird because like some of their free merch were labeled with stuff like "Download the app to control your loads." We bring the game, you bring the joystick. The first day you went for a run, you couldn't last more than 3 minutes either. So it's weird how they had this very like sanitized branding, except for their like free merch. But yeah, it has Bluetooth connection, interactive and personalized settings. You can monitor your user evolution, and it is marked as a medical device. But on their brochure, there's just two really, really good sentences. There's video feedback from our sexual health professionals. So after you come, you can get on a video chat and talk about
there
it.
There we go.
Looking good.
It's the pillow talking add-on.
I'd love to be one of those people. How's it going, man? 3 minutes? You can do better than that. Come on. Are you meant to encourage them?
Yeah.
Are you meant to commiserate with them?
Yeah, what is the goal here?
Yeah, but also, I cannot think of a single person I'd want to talk about that with.
Yeah, I'm just imagining like the guy on the other and be like, no, zoom in the camera a little more. I want to see those ropes. Oh, yeah, no, that's not bad. Good consistency.
Okay, let's move that over. Let's see his O face again.
Wow,
Can you replay that?
My friend, your load management is very consistent.
And I think we're really missing is how much AI will assist in this, because they claim that using cutting edge technology, MyHixel Control is the first solution to include AI and machine learning for climax control treatment, which is just really, really reassuring. So yeah, it basically looks like a flashlight that connects to your phone, and it's an app with anatomical, realistic interior design, and AI and secured and anonymized data.
I think this is really going to open up some avenues for sex workers.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Tafia.
It's also like the design, the handy is very clearly a robot. You stick your dick inside and it jacks you off. This looks like a fleshlight, except the back end, like the front end where you unscrew the top and it's like a fake vagina, looks like a fleshlight. The back end looks like an incense diffuser. Like, like someone decided these two products needed to be like, what if you could fuck your aromatherapy bot?
Finally.
So that is most of the just the groundbreaking AI products that I was able to see today. Does anyone else have any AI products they would love to talk about?
It's time to talk about Gnert.
Okay.
Gnert.
Gnert.
Tavia, you want to start us off about Gnert?
Okay. I guess we attended a panel. Which panel was it, y'all? I don't remember.
That was the DHS AI panel.
Yeah,
that was the AI panel with one of the heads of the Department of Homeland Security, who I can confirm because he turned around to take a selfie, has a Hank Hill ass.
He was very insistent on that.
No but. Absolutely no but. And I'm saying this not to shame him, but because there are orthotics for that. You can get help, sir.
That's even in a whole episode of King of the Hill.
One of the better episodes.
Good times. So Gnert AI was announced before this talk that we had, and it was I think the guy announcing both this event as well as the panel had taken some time to really focus on the fact that this was his quote unquote opus.
His opus.
His opus.
He said the word opus like 5 times.
Gnert's what I'll be remembered by.
This is my legacy. No, yeah, and then I guess 2 of the designers had come up who stuck out like a sore thumb compared to like the sea of khaki and blazers and things like that.
Yeah, they had clearly never ordered a drone strike, unlike our hero in Homeland Security.
Right. One of them had a wide-brimmed hat that was color matched to the Gnert logo, which is pretty cool.
What does Gnert stand for?
Gnert stands for generate. So I think it's actually just called generate. They just took out the vowels. But this is going to be a 3-day event or conference held in Arlington, Virginia. They are claiming that it's going to have like 200 speakers, 150 AI sessions, more than 500 startups, 150 partners, 100 investors, and around 5,000 attendees. They're trying to target enterprise, governments, platforms, AI tools, AI builders, services, investors, startups, and media. That it's these 3 events held simultaneously. One's just called Gnert or Generate AI, which is about just AI tech. It's about like AI companies, classes, keynotes, funding, blah 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 blah. There's then Voice and AI, which is about AI language services, and there's also one for Gov AI, which is about public sector and how the government's going to start integrating AI or regulating AI. And they also have one for coding called Code Forward, and it's a bummer we can't just play the opening video because the opening video had no like
We've
voice.
Got it here, but there's no voice. I can read it though. 97 million new jobs in AI, 500 billion in annual AI spend by 2027, 250 billion in VC funding by 2025. Gnert, generate for a new world and a new market. Gnert connects, informs, elevates, and inspires. It all happens at Gnert.
And we cannot emphasize enough how they hyped up VC Cash. There was so much build up for VC Cash.
I have watched people who are dope sick buy heroin with less jittery excitement in their hands and eyes.
All right, so know a bit about shit like this. So I just did a brief cursory look up Gnert. And it's connected conferences, Voice AI and Gov AI and Code Forward. And all of them are claiming the following. They're featuring GitHub, Microsoft, OpenAI, Codium, Tab9. Their thing on LinkedIn has 28 followers, and their engagement is like when I post the word Twitter on Twitter. It's not very good at all. I can get more than that doing any post a picture of my asshole and get more than that. But also, I cannot find a single person claiming to attend This, despite them claiming 200 plus speakers, 150 plus sessions, 500 startups, 150 partners, 100 investors, 5,000 attendees, I can't find a single bit of evidence that anyone is gnerting around at all. And also, they claim to have 3 different conferences: Code Forward, Gov AI, Voice AI, and of course, Gnert AI. And of course, all of these are part of the Gnert AI beta experience. I don't know why you put beta on
these people are beta as hell.
But also, why have you got beta on a conference? What are you doing? But also, featuring OpenAI, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, and Veritone. I'm going to guess that they've got like a ChatGPT open on a computer, an NVIDIA GPU and something, Microsoft Word, and they've used Google. And it's very strange because I don't know what this thing is.
Yeah, I think what it is some guys who have a degree of like some guys who are hoping that they don't have any actual ideas for what to do with AI, so they're hoping that if they create a conference and make that be like the CES of AI, they can kind of force a place for themselves and also suction up a bunch of money.
I also found some of the speakers. You've got a fellow called Adam Goldberg, who's an account director and head of Azure OpenAI enablement on the go-to-market team at OpenAI. They found a sales guy from OpenAI and then said they got someone from OpenAI. They got someone from JP Morgan. She leads data and AI design. These are all fake jobs. These aren't real jobs. And I think that these conferences are amazing as well because all people do at them is they watch these things where people go up on stage and go, generative AI is going to create maybe even trillions of dollars of value at some point. And the synergy between generative AI and data collection, but also data silos, is going to be truly, truly innovative. And everyone's like, holy fucking shit. Whoa. Holy shit, piss. And then they all post it on Twitter and they all forget it ever happened immediately.
Yeah, we call that the Gnert dividend.
We do call that the Gnert dividend. So Gnert's being put on by this guy who runs this like panel collection called Brands GPT at CES.
With a Z.
No, it's not.
No.
It's
Garrison. With a Z.
It should be. I think me and Robert both went to like 1 or 2 of these Brands GPT panels. This is the one where Robert got to yell at Google and Microsoft and get them mad.
I got to, Google and McDonald's. McDonald's is head of AI.
Yes.
Which is a thing. No.
So they look to basically just focus on like convention programming. So now they're trying to put on their own convention that they're calling Gnert. Instead of just running this Brands GPT at CES. So that's the background. It's done by Mode V Events. That's Mode and the letter V, but one word. That's like the parent company for this. I'll be interested, once we get closer to October, I'll be interested to see if this is looking more like a real event. It's not going to be that far for me to travel. But no, they're promising $500 billion in annual AI spending with $250 billion new VC cash investments, which is quite promising.
Yeah. So hopefully this beta test goes like the last video game beta test that I went to, and everybody clips through the floor and disappears into a void. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us in this episode. And I want to leave you all with we've got one more thing, but before we get into that, which will be fun, I want to talk about something sobering, which is that, as you may get from this, nearly 100% of the AI use cases that we saw presented were either nonsense or incredibly vague. At these different, where you had people from like NVIDIA and Adobe and whatnot, that like they wouldn't say like, we're going to use AI for this specific task. They would say, we're going to use AI to get more nimble, which I think means firing people. Outside of that, the only real specific use cases that were not clearly nonsense were stuff like replacing, customer service workers with chatbots, which is bad. And to be fair, some also really good stuff like that telescope that used kind of machine learning in order to like clean up images so that you can get better images and whatnot when you're in an area with a lot of light pollution. There was some stuff like that, but usually very vague, the use cases for AI. What was always extremely clear were the harms. And the very first panel we attended, there's a company called Deloitte. They're a huge consulting firm. If you know about McKinsey, because they're currently, somewhat rightfully so, a bit of a bugbear on the left, Deloitte is a similar kind of organization, right? I think they're a bit less toxic, but to a marginal degree. They're like a massive consulting firm. Companies bring them in order to like help them streamline and make processes more efficient and stuff. And one of their people said that according to their internal metrics, they expected $500 billion in fraud this year, in 1 year, due just to voice cloning AI. And that was a more specific statement of what AI is going to do to change people's lives than absolutely any positive use case I heard presented at this conference.
Could you explain what you mean by voice cloning?
So AI, we did a couple of Bastards episodes talking about scams and how they've contributed to the decline of trust in our society. One of the things that has in the last year or so become a massive problem is there are now AI things that can generate a human voice near perfectly, to the point where, especially if it is a voice of, say, your kid calls you and they're telling you that they have been fucking kidnapped, or, something else has happened and they need you to wire them money desperately, and you send them the money, it's a fucking scam, right? That is, we had a person from Deloitte, and I think it was a person from Adobe, say that they had been called by a colleague who had gotten a call thinking it was that seemed to be them, asking them to buy a bunch of Apple gift cards. Shit like this is extreme, and it's only going to get more common. You can automate, too, the writing of the scams and the sending of the scams using these AI tools. And that is absolutely, in my opinion, much more of a direct way in which AI is going to affect people than any single product, or even cumulatively all of the AI products we saw at CES.
On that uplifting note...
So that's a bummer, and we will be going into more depth about that. But I wanted to end. Tavia took notes at all of the buzzwords, particularly the AI buzzwords that we heard during the convention, and she's going to read that to us now.
You got to tell you, this list is incredible. I've worked in and out of corporate America, and much like a cult, they have their own internal vocabulary that they use. And this convention we went to was just filthy with these buzzwords, so I'm just going to dig in. The ones that I've written down are double down. Love that one. That one comes up a lot. Versioning. Versioning, which is a legitimate term in software, but I was hearing it used in places where it didn't make much sense to do it. Then our favorite, liar's dividend.
By far the best term that we've heard at the conference.
Yeah. So flexible.
Yeah, I'm using versions of that and everything. It makes me think a lot about the murderer's dividend, which is when you no longer have to deal with an annoying person.
We got content credential, which is coming up a lot, especially around the topic of AI. We have data rich and its sister term problem rich. Core values, which I heard in every single panel that we were in.
Yeah, usually the context of this was we don't need regulations around how AI can be made and put together. The core values of the companies is what will make sure that AI isn't used in a harmful way.
Great. That's going to happen.
No, very trustworthy groups. We got risk model. And then my next term is the favorite one. It's so good. I think I'm going to give this one to you, Robert.
Yeah, because I don't think we talked about this. Guardian MM or something like that. What was the name?
MM Guardian.
MM Guardian, which is an app you put on. It used to be an app. Now it is a phone you buy for your child. It's a modified Samsung Galaxy something or other. That
it's not a Galaxy Note 7.
It gives you as the parent complete access to your kid's phone and everything they're doing, and it automatically monitors all of their, not just their conversations, but their browsing history, and sends you alerts. So if someone sends your kid a text that says you should KYS, kill yourself. This was the example he showed us. You get a message that there's this suicidal discussion or whatnot going on. We ask them, hey, Garrison particularly was like, what if this is a situation where a parent is abusive and using this in order to keep tabs on their kids, or hates, is a child is gay or trans and their parents are not accepting of that. Can parents still spy on them over that stuff? Are there any limitations? Are there any sort of safeguards built in case a parent is being abusive, right? To monitor or send to the authorities if a parent is using this in an abusive way. And their answer was, no, we're purely about giving parents more power. And the term that they used was tech contracts with children.
I can't think of anything more dismal.
Yeah, that is one of the most dystopian assemblies of words I've ever heard.
You should never say the phrase contracts with children. That's just like, if you find yourself ever hearing the phrase contracts with children spoken by anyone, run away from that person as fast as you can. Maybe punch them in the face first.
Yeah.
And then run away as fast as you can.
So that's a good one.
That's some shit you just keep in Florida, I guess, now? Or Indiana, is it?
It's a super Florida app.
Yeah.
That is the center of this business.
Moving on, we've got other terms called like visionary and thought leaders, which comes up a lot in these types of conferences.
I mean, the PR shit, people love saying thought leader.
Oh, they love it.
Thing doer.
They eat it up. We also have edge computing. I know. Digital.
Yeah, again, Handy, great company.
Incredible company. Very, very excellent product. We have digital twin, Horizon Scan.
So digital twin's really good because it means like 8 different things. It can mean literally a copy of something, or it can mean a digital version of something. It can mean like a metaverse thing. And these are all different industries using it, and no one can agree on the meaning.
Yeah, that's just tradition. That's just like
rocks.
what they do. They have Horizon Scan. I actually kind of like that one. That was the first time I'd heard that one, when they're just like looking into the future. I think they're calling that Horizon Scan. Use case, which came up a lot because everyone was groping for use cases for their technology and didn't seem to have any that they could bring up.
Mm-hmm. The next one I heard way more than I wanted to hear, which was accelerate. Which is always a great term to hear in tech. There was so much accelerate and accelerating relating to their tech development and their tech use cases. For another one of those terms that Javier just read off.
Now, this next term is a real thing and an important thing, and not a thing that anyone in the tech industry wants or cares about: the right to be forgotten. This has actually been legislated. The reason they have to care about this to some extent is it's been legislated in the EU, right? And it should be everywhere. I actually think this is an incredibly important concept. And it's basically we have people go viral, become a main character on whatever app for being a piece of shit sometimes, or sometimes doing something stupid, or sometimes doing something innocuous that for no reason at all makes a huge number of people
Here's actually a
angry.
really good example. There was a kid who posted a video of himself, and it was like 4.0 GPA, had a job, raised money, didn't get into Harvard or something. He didn't mean it in this way, but someone took it and then turned it into a why kids are being kept out of Harvard thing. And he DM'd them and was like, you're ruining my fucking life.
Yeah.
This is how the right to be forgotten should be everywhere.
Yeah.
It is not.
It is a hugely important thing. And, I actually give the EU a lot of credit for the fact that has to some extent been legislated. All of that needs to be more common in other countries and more vigorously enforced. I say that I have no idea how you do it with the internet working the way it does. Some of this I actually do think is a values thing where we all need to be more okay with the fact that even people who can do something shitty online deserve to not have that necessarily define the rest of their lives, especially, teenagers.
And the next one is one that I like to associate with my posts, data poisoning. I believe every time I interact with Twitter or Blue Sky, that is what I am doing.
I have some data poisoning,
I am data poisoning as a verb, or I am data poisoning myself.
Yeah. And then we've got, Garrison, you want to do this one?
Sure. These are the last 3 that I got from an AI ethics panel. We have data silos, how data is all separated. We have data harmonization, kind of the opposite of data silos.
Yeah, that's basically using AI to generate pictures of Dan Harmon, right?
Yes. Then we have the last term, which I will describe for you, the speed capacity gap. So the speed capacity gap.
No, I can answer that for you. So sometimes when I'm doing a shitload of amphetamines that I purchased from some Turkish website via the dark web, I'm doing them with a friend and they OD because there's a speed capacity gap between the two of us.
Yeah. That's what that DHS guy was talking about for using AI to monitor dark web purchases. He's going to really get on that one. No, speed capacity gap. The gap between tech acceleration and the capacity of society to keep up and make informed decisions about the technology. which is actually a kind of a useful
that
term.
is a useful.
It's just one of those, it sounds like a silly tech term, but when it's actually explained, like, oh, that's actually a really good way to think about the way AI is being pushed in all of these new ways, and are we actually, as a society, whether that's like as a government or just like culturally, able to actually make informed decisions about how we want this tech to be integrated into our lives? And now, the dark side of this term, the speed capacity gap, to kind of solve this gap, we can either slow down a development, or we can speed up our capacity. And the panelists obviously preferred the latter. So we should just speed up our cultural capacity.
Did they propose a solution for that?
Well, kind of, but it's a little unclear. We can go through my recording at a later date once we do our full AI episode. But their rationale for why we should instead of slowing down tech development, instead speed up our cultural capacity, is because of the many benefits that tech improvements can be made via tech iterations. Right, the more iterations you get of technology, the more benefits you're able to get from said technology.
Versioning. Yes.
Version, exactly.
Sure,
which brings us all the way back to versioning. There we go.
Yeah, which brings us all the way back to Turkish amphetamines, because I've been, for the last 20 years, trying different versions of Turkish amphetamines. And the blue pills, man, normally you don't hallucinate on speed, but when you take enough, it turns out you can. And so I think what I'd like to leave everyone with is the knowledge that Turkish amphetamines are a thing you can purchase on the dark web, and there's no health consequences to it at all.
I'm not part of this. Bear Offline does not support illegal drug purchases. Respectful podcast.
They're not illegal if they're so new that the DEA hasn't banned them yet.
That's innovation.
Exactly. That's versioning.
And that is the speed capacity gap, folks.
The DEA can't keep up with the tech improvements.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for us here at Cool Zone. Before we leave, I want to give Tavia and Ed both chances to plug their pluggables. Ed, people are going to be hearing from you every week on your new show, Better Offline, which is launching in I'm sure you'll agree, is a frighteningly short time.
Very soon. It is going to be the best weekly tech show. It is going to do the job that no one is strong enough to do, which is ask questions, listen to the answers, then actually make a question that follows them. I am very much looking forward to this and very excited to work with the Cool Zone team.
And Tavia?
You can find me on Twitter at CUTmora. And if you want to learn a little bit more about my interactive and immersive work, you can see that at taviamora.com.
Now, you may wonder why I didn't give you any links to anything, and that was a deliberate thing called subterfuge, but you can find me at where'syourEd.at or at EdZitron on Twitter, X, ratemynudes.biz, and of course, Blue Sky Zitron.bsky.social.
Yeah, and you can find my profile on Handy. All right, we're fucking done here.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Pro drivers live for race day, but for small business owners, every day is race day. That's why going pro with Lenovo Pro matters. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors keep your business on the right track. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
Welcome to Nick It Happened Here, a podcast about, I don't know, this is coming out like Tuesday, right? Maybe Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know what this podcast is about. If you don't, it's about things falling apart and putting it back together again. I'm your host, Mia Wong. With me is James.
Hi, Mia. I'm really excited to learn some stuff. I'm sure it'll be great.
No, nothing. Well, okay. The good news is that the first guy we're talking about died. That's the only good news.
Great.
I guess
Magnificent.
It's slightly more good news. But we're doing some episodes about the Daily Wire. You're going to get a lot more actual stuff about the Daily Wire in the next two episodes. This is the preliminary background information episode. But, for people who aren't familiar with the Daily Wire is a very large and very powerful right-wing media empire. They're, Ben Shapiro's people. Matt Walsh is there. And they've become increasingly powerful because of their ability to drive the actions of sort of like, not even really mid-level, like high level, like Republican officials, particularly at a state level, towards, horrific anti-trans policies, stuff like that.
Yep. They've harnessed incredible divorced dad power of those two guys. And like, it's like a it's like a Pokemon situation, like they're just, it's inside, it's like shaken ball, but sometimes they let it out and control the Republican Party with it.
Yeah. And so, okay, but in order to really sort of understand who these people are and why they're able to sort of be like this, we need to talk about the ways that this is new, because, there's always been sort of right-wing, like, Christian media figures who do terrible stuff. But the way the Daily Wire works is different than the stuff that's worked in the past. And in order to understand what is different about this than these sort of, like, previous eras of, like, Christian anti-queer violence, we need to talk about neoliberalism.
Oh, good.
So this is not the normal starting place for talking about the religious right. But if you want to actually understand what's happening right now, you have to go back to the origin and structure of neoliberalism so you can understand how it shaped right-wing Christian organizing in the last about 50 years. I want to start this by talking about a guy who is not normally considered part of the Christian right at all. In fact, he's not even an American, and his greatest influence is on his home country of Germany. The man I want to talk about is Wilhelm Röpke. I've mentioned him on this show before, but that was several years ago. Now, he is not a very well-known figure, and that's not good because he is one of the smartest and one of the most dangerous neoliberals. So in order to really get a sense of who Röpke is, we need to talk about the beginnings of neoliberalism. So we need to talk about Hayek and his sort of attempt to recruit a bunch of new liberals to mostly to oppose communism. It later becomes about also opposing fascism. But the problem that Hayek has is that, this is happening in the 1920s, and really in the 1930s. The problem is that the people who Hayek had been trying to recruit from Germany during the 30s all joined the Nazi Party. So
many such cases.
Yeah, this is a real issue for them.
Yeah. Once again, the libs have let us down. Shocked.
Yeah, so, in the 1940s after the war, when Hayek is trying to do this again, he turns to William Röpke instead of the original guys who've been Nazis, because Röpke had been out of the country for the whole Nazi thing, so he kind of had skipped out on it.
Okay, smart move on his part.
Yeah. And, this gets him an invite to, like, Montpellier and so the whole sort of the origins of neoliberalism. And Röpke he's one of the architects of what's called ordoliberalism. So the ordoliberals are one of the factions of, they're one of the factions of neoliberalism. What's interesting about we're going to talk a bit about what they believe, but what's interesting about the ordoliberals is that they're not really economists. I mean, some of them are, but it's a lot of sociologists. And this means that the way that they think about the world is very different than the way that like Hayek or, like von Mises or like all the sort of like mainline, like guys who are economists in the neoliberal movement think. The order liberals believe that there is a natural capitalist hierarchy in a society that produces stability. But they also understand that capitalism in general and neoliberalism, like specifically the thing they're trying to bring about, atomizes people. It destroys social bonds, it tears the fabric of communities apart, and it destroys the notion of any collective self-identification, replacing them with sort of market exchange and empty consumer symbols masquerading as identity. Think, for example, the rise of stan culture, or, like the thing we do, which is like podcasting.
Yeah,
like
I was going to say,
streamers, so
all your friends are on your phone.
Yeah, so this is extremely bad. And Ropke realizes this is a real issue for the success of neoliberalism because people don't actually like being completely autonomized market agents with no real social relations other than wages and contracts. And, if presented with these options, they might, for example, turn to communism or, God forbid, anarchism. Yeah, but Ropke is on the side of bad. And
the side of bad, yeah. I think a great title for the episode, Neoliberalism, the side of bad. It's Mir's biography. Sorted.
Oh, God. Yeah, Ropke's conclusion from this is that you can't just rely on the market passively coming into existence, because if markets were supposed to passively come into existence, or if they were, like the sort of like spontaneous order thing that Hayek talks about when he's lying, like if that was actually true, they would just have, everything would be market economies already.
Yeah.
So,
so
Ropke,
the natural order of things.
Yeah. It's like, no, like we would have had the exact same economic and political system for the last 30,000 years, but we haven't. So in order to do this, you have to make people into good neoliberal market subjects. And this requires the intervention of the state. The product of this is that Ropke is one of the architects of what's called structural policy. And these are specific state policy things that are used to create markets by, sometimes there's a whole variety of sort of ways that this happens, but by acting on and transforming like physically people, right? Like what they do, what they believe, how they congregate, like what things they're allowed, not allowed to do, what things are incentivized. This is structural policy. This is the origin of what's later going to be called structural reform, which is the kind of stuff that the IMF does to an economy to create markets by taking food from the mouths of babies and making the babies work to get the food.
Yeah, it's great. It's the only way.
Yeah, and that part of neoliberalism, broadly, a lot of that comes from order liberalism, and it comes from people like Ropke. But Ropke realizes that, there's a problem with structural policy as an abstract concept, right? Which is that in order for it to work, you need to A, take control of the state, because again, this is a top-down state reform project, right? And B, there has to be something beyond the state to create the kind of subjectivity you need to instill in people to make them behave, quote unquote, as market agents, right? You can't just use the state and the market to make people behave in the way that they're supposed to be good sort of like workers for the workers for the great market. You need something else, and specifically neoliberalism needs its own form of collectivity. It needs its own thing that creates social bonds between people. It needs its own kind of sort of identification to combat the sort of collective society of the left. Now, part of Ropke's plan, and this is something he shares with the other order liberals, is that they want to do this with, they want to use the patriarchal family and small businesses as like the sort of social basis of all of their sort of right-wing politics. This is very normal right-wing politics stuff. They also have, weirdly, this is one of the things it's in the 50s and 60s, there's a lot of sort of on every side of the political aisle, like kind of romantic utopianism-ish about like the countryside.
Yeah.
This can swing wildly between like Mao or like the Japanese fascists or the neoliberals. They have this dream of sort of turning rural areas into these like bastions of like reaction against the left. And that did kind of happen in the US, but it didn't happen like it happened because the rural economy was completely annihilated and replaced with like a series of meth labs. not because of which I guess technically was a downstream result. It's just that it wasn't the sort of idyllic, like good, like farmer family things that these people wanted. So
they got there in an interesting way. Yeah, with like massive agribusiness and meth labs are your two choices in life.
Yeah, yes, they this is one of these things where instead of achieving their goals through cultural means, they achieve their goals through like the massive, like unbelievable economic violence. But okay, so that's the other thing that and that stuff's all sort of standard neoliberal theory, right? But what makes Ropke kind of unique is that he's really one of the first of these people to realize that you need another force. And that force is the church. And this is something that people don't talk about a lot when they talk about neoliberalism, but a lot of these people are very, very deeply Christian. Here's Ropke talking about his ideal society. Quote, rendering to the king what is owed to the king, but also giving to God what belongs to God. So,
what belongs to God? Now I'm concerned.
I mean, it's funny because like he's taken the Bible verse, like he's taken the render unto Caesar, like what belongs to Caesar, render unto blah 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 blah. But like, he's made it enormously more alarming.
Yeah, deeply.
Like, because like the thing about the render under Caesar is that that's a statement about like living under the Roman Empire, right?
Right.
Like, this is he just wants you to fucking have a king. Like, just wants to give shit to. And then also a god who is also your king.
Right. It's not even like the necessity of the state thing. Like you just dumped in a pointless hereditary inbred person to give money to.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like I should probably not slander him as thoroughly as I'm doing here, because I don't actually quite think he literally becomes a monarchist, but he does believe that there should be like I don't know how you describe it, like there should be democratic parties, but that like actual economic policy shouldn't be like managed by them. Like, you need like a supra thing above the democracy, which is the IMF, to make sure that the little democratic people don't like start getting any ideas about the economy.
You like a technocracy,
but state. But like the thing with the technocracy, and this is genuinely kind of what has been happening in Europe, is that like living under a technocracy really sucks.
Yes.
Like it sucks like politically, it sucks materially, and it sucks like emotionally. And the right has been able to make a lot out of sort of like this opposition to like the global bureaucracies or whatever, which is like, okay, like you guys made these things in the first place. Like you don't get a fucking complaint about the bureaucracies that you set up and ran, but
that hasn't stopped him.
Yeah, but Ropke, so a lot of the other order liberals become really sort of like, become obsessed with taking over the IMF, which they do, and they take over the World Bank, and they become, they do that stuff. Ropke is obsessed with using religion as like another kind of social force that he can bind the neoliberal sort of movement together with. And so he sets out to form like a kind of like reactionary Catholic international to bring neoliberalism to the world.
That is a troubling concept.
Yeah, so it doesn't work, which is the good news. Well, and the problem is it doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work because it's a bad idea. The reason that it doesn't work is that he's trying this in like the 50s and 60s, and it is too early for that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and this is something I feel like I should, at some point, I should actually do a deep dive into this on the show, but I've talked about this a couple of times. There is a very powerful form of kind of like conservative Christian politics in Europe at this time. It's like the Christian democracy movements. There's like every single country, if you look at it like this, from like the 50s through like the 90s. I mean, and even to this day in Germany, for example, like there was a party called the Christian Democrats, and they win like at least 60% of all elections. Like in Italy, they're in power for like 40 years. But the problem with Christian democracy from the perspective of someone like Ropke is that like if you take like these parties, right? these parties are, these are the Christian conservatives of this era. They are way too far left for Ropke, and that's not just a sort of like look at how far right Ropke is, although he is. So like if you took Aldo Moro, who's like the great Italian Christian democratic statesman, multiple time prime minister of Italy, killed in an insane web of conspiracies, but like if you took. Look, I'm not gonna talk about him, but like, if you took Aldo Moro and you dropped him into the modern American Congress, he would be to the left. He is again the leader. He's like the leader of Italian. Well, I mean, he's technically from the center left faction of the Christian Democrats, but he's like the guy who's not a socialist or a communist, like in terms of Italian politicians, who's not also a fascist. And if you took him from like the 70s and you plopped him into the American Congress, he would be to the left of AOC. Like, AOC is pro ceasefire in Gaza, right? Like, she's pro ceasefire in Palestine. Aldo Moro allowed the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which is the Palestinian communist paramilitary, to operate out of and carry out attacks, like, from Italy, right? Like, this guy, you would, like, he is...
Well, if you go far enough right, you might get that as well, to be fair.
No, like, but it wouldn't be the PFLP, though. True. I guess some of the German neo-Nazis kind of liked them, but...
Right, yeah.
Like imagine in the U.S. any politician being like, yeah, the PFLP could operate out of the U.S. Our only condition is that we like we're gonna let you operate, but we're not gonna like protect you from like Shin Bet or whatever. Like not Shin Bet, the Mossad.
Yeah,
like we're not gonna protect you from the Mossad. Like, but you can do your stuff here. Can you imagine that shit happening? This guy is a conservative in Europe, right in the 70s. Like, so this is what Ropke's responding to. Like the existing Christian, and to some extent, like the Christian Democrats are very, very successful at stopping communism. Right? They're really good at it. They stop communism from taking hold anywhere in Europe. But they're not, like, capitalist enough for Ropke. So when we come back from this thing Ropke would have loved, which is ad transitions, we're going to talk about more of what Ropke was doing and how it shaped neoliberalism and the Christian right. Woo, yay, we're back. Ropke is having a great time in his grave. We're going to get to the thing that makes him spin in his grave, which I'm very excited about.
Excellent.
But, okay, so, like, as we've sort of been talking about, the Christian Democrats are not the Christian Democrats in a lot of countries are Catholic. Some of them, like, I think, like, there are Protestant, like, Christian Democratic things, but, like... Yeah, but like a lot of them are Catholic. So I mean, it's a really interesting kind of like predecessor to like modern far right politics, where you get these like both in the U.S. and in Latin America, where you get these sort of like these Catholic Protestant alliances. Like this is like Matt Walsh, who we're gonna be talking about more in the next 2 days. Like is a Catholic theocrat, right? But a lot of his base are like Baptists and like the even more feral charismatic Christians and like. But these groups are able to sort of work together, but they're not working together in the way that Ropke wants. So, and this is the thing that I think is very, very scary about Ropke, and especially about the people who took this model, right? Whether explicitly or implicitly, people who figure out the same, because a lot of some people like kind of directly discover from Ropke. Some people discover it through like. Very weird readings, right-wing readings of Gramsci. It's a whole thing. I'll talk. Yeah, one day I'm gonna get Eve on the show, and we're gonna talk about that because it's fucking wild.
What the? Yeah, wow. I feel like Gramsci is not the most like inaccessible. Like it. There are some like left theorists who just vomit words so much that you can just project meaning onto them, but. I have not. Well, I mean,
their thing. This is Eve Edinger's like thesis is that these people saw that like leftists were reading Gramsci, read Gramsci, and were like, we're going to do the right wing version of this.
Okay, yeah.
So
now I see it.
But you know, so some of these people are rediscovering the same things that Ropke's figured out in like the 50s. But the thing that Ropke is doing is he's figured out all the essential elements of the modern Christian right. You promote neoliberalism with one hand, and then you sell the solution to the atomization that your neoliberalism causes on the other hand with the church. And the church, yes, will serve as the basis of your political organization.
Yeah, that is a way of doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting. There's a lot of people who do this same thing. Like at some point, I'm going to write the thing about like this is actually what libertarianism is to a broad extent. Is that libertarians are the people who like take the problems that the market produces and then try to sell you a solution which is more of those same problems but worded differently.
Yeah.
So
with people allowed to smoke weed now, so it's fine.
Yeah, but you know, but this is the Christian version of it. But again, Ropke, to a large extent, is smarter than the people who come after him, because he understands that this project, this sort of Christian neoliberal project, is a constant struggle against atomization. And this atomization has to be actively politically combated by the church, like both politically and socially. And if it's not like actively combated by the church, this whole project is going to start to come apart. Now, Ropke is not the man who's going to lead the mob of Christian fanatics into the promised land. And part of this is also because he is like too racist for like the 60s. Which, again,
it's quite racist.
Like, so like in the parts of the 60s when he's saying the really racist stuff, like segregation is legal in the US, right? Like, like that. This is where we're at with this stuff. And he's too racist for that. And the thing that he's really, really racist about is Rhodesia.
Now, fucking hell! I didn't expect a Rhodesia appearance.
Yeah. This is the Rhodesia pivot, which is that like okay. So the orthodox neoliberals, people like Hayek, are pro Rhodesia, right? And this is Milton Friedman. Like, these people are pro Rhodesia, but they're smart enough to use dog whistles and talk about it in terms of like economic terms and like stability of government, blah, 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 blah. Ropke is just openly saying race war shit. Like, I'm not going to read it, but he is effectively like the spiritual forefather of like the 4chan mass shooter. Like that's how racist he is.
Damn.
And, you know, it turns out that just, again, open race war shit is like too much for Hayek, and he gets kicked out of the mainstream neoliberal organizations. And tragically for all of us, Ropke dies before he can see his beloved Rhodesia reduced to a pulp by a series of anti-imperialist insurgencies. He dies before all of the Rhodesian like society's fucking fuel supplies stored in one spot are blown up.
I was gonna say, see if they'd had a more distributed market economy, Mia, they would have had just all their fuel in one giant bottle, which they burned. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't been following the history of Rhodesia, not a country anymore.
Yeah, thank Christ. Actually, don't thank Christ. Fuck Christ. Christ didn't do shit.
Yeah, thank all those people who went out there and killed bigots.
Et cetera.
And of course, all the American people who went over to join the Rhodesian military and killed other white Rhodesians by accident by shooting at people who were theoretically on their side. Yeah, shout out to them.
We're not going to get into North Korea backing another genocide in Zimbabwe here. That's also a fucking thing. I'm not doing apologies for that because that shit fucking sucked. Yeah, but okay, but he dies before he can see his beloved Rhodesia fucking eat shit and die. But what Ropke had is a very clear version of the hierarchical neoliberal society that he wanted to create, right? And he is very, especially by the end of his life, he is very explicit about what this is. It is a Christian white supremacist patriarchal world. And to build it, the right is going to have to use the church to stave off the alienization and atomization of capitalism. And we're back. Now, in order to build this new world, the world that Ropke sort of imagines, the religious right, the actual religious right that's going to bring this stuff into fruition, sets off from a number of angles. I think the most famous part of this is probably the sort of moral majority infrastructure, which is this network of like think tanks, political advocacy organizations, TV networks, mailing lists, like their own insane right-wing colleges. God, terrifying places. But the fundamental social basis, right? The fundamental collective space around which the right is organized was the church. There's been a lot of sociological talk in the last few years about like quote unquote third spaces. So a third space is supposed to be this place that's like not the home or not the workplace that people can exist in and form bonds in. And, you know, people talk about like bridge clubs, blah, 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 blah. But the thing about the US is that like the fucking YMCA, like all of these things that people talk about as the third space are just the church in different forms.
Yeah.
Literally church or a bunch of church-run events.
Yeah. Wow. Especially like the more like rural you get, like it is. Good.
And this is one of these things. Like this was actually like one of the sort of rear flanks of the workers' movement, right? Which is that like in large parts of Appalachia, right, you have a bunch of really, really militant like miners' unions, for example. But then, you know, but all of them are also Baptists, and that is fine as long as, you know, you're dealing with Baptists who are doing well. I mean, I say fine, but like it's not an existential threat to the workers' movement when you're dealing with it's easier for it's easier for a camel to walk through the head of a pin than it is for a rich man to go to heaven, Baptists. But the moment that stuff starts flipping, that's a very, very dangerous sort of rear guard. You see this in Asian American communities where, like, you know, Asian Americans generally, like the last two generations, like millennials and Gen Z, are tacking really, really hard left, except the fucking Christians who are like forming this insane rear guard. Because I've complained about this before, but this is a Christianity episode. I could fucking talk about this. The thing about Asian Christians is that they're almost all like first gen converts. So they all have convert brain, which means they're all completely fucking batshit. Yeah. So, you know, this is one of the things that we're talking about here, right? Is that physically the church serves as this very, very important engine of counter-revolution. It serves as this engine of sort of spreading reactionary politics, even among groups of people who you normally wouldn't get that kind of sort of right-wing politics from. And this is where, you know, faced with the sort of leftward shifts in the US in the 60s, 70s, and globally too, faced with, you know, I mean, literally the specter of revolutions, and sometimes not even specters, like, you know, this is post 68, right? There's been a bunch of actual uprisings.
Yeah.
And the place that they make their move is by trying to seize control of various pieces of church infrastructure. We're going to take a Catholic example and a Protestant example, and we're not going to do the obvious Orthodox example because we'd be here for a fucking century. So let's start with Ropke's beloved Catholic Church. I don't know. If I'm going to do a little bit of left inside baseball, I think people on the left tend to be really obsessed with the like liberation theology people. But the problem with liberation theology people is that they were around for maybe like 30 years, right? But by the time you get to the end of the 80s, these people are all dead, right? Like, they're either dead or they're like Ortega, and they've become these, like, literally they start calling themselves the Third Way, and are like cutting all these deals with like really right-wing social groups. So this means that the dominant politics of like the capital, like T capital C, the Catholic Church, gets very, very right-wing. Well, it's not even that so much that it gets right-wing, but it is very right-wing. And the stuff that they're doing is very, very scary. One of the things that I don't think people really realize is that, you've heard the term gender ideology.
Yeah. Yes, I have, man.
Yeah. Do you know where that's from?
Is it from, I've fucking forgotten the place where Harry Potter goes.
Hogwarts?
Hogwarts, yeah. Hogwarts Castle.
JFK is a fucking Johnny-come-late bastard. Like, she got into this game after that shit had already started. Gender ideology is a term developed...
JFK Rowling is a powerful fucking mind.
No, speaking of Catholics, though, the term gender ideology comes from the Catholic Church. And it's developed in reaction specifically to feminism, and very specifically, it's developed in reaction to arguments from feminists that gender is socially constructed. because and the Catholic Church's position is like, well, no, that's heretical because obviously gender was assigned by God. And because gender is assigned by God, like women are like, women are like submissive, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, like natural. This is the natural order. This isn't like a sociologically constructed thing. This is the natural order. This is how it's always been. It's how it should always be because they're like unfathomably sexist.
Is this like around the like Elaine Pagel's beef with the church? I'm not sure if Elaine Pagel's. Are you familiar with Elaine Pagel's? God the Father, God the Mother.
I think this is a bit before my time.
Okay, yeah. This is for World History Stands at the University of California, a common topic.
Well, I think this is actually in the same.
I've played videos of her to my students, and it's definitely in the 80s. Like the vibe is powerfully 80s.
That so I guess that's a bit late because a lot of the gender ideology stuff comes out of the early I guess it's like early 90s.
Okay.
So one of the things that happens is that a lot of in the 90s, the Catholic Church, and they have a bunch of like RadFem allies here, by the way, do have this massive fight in the UN about like recognizing the right to abortions and other like sexual and reproductive rights. And the RadFems are pissed off because there's a whole, so they're aligned with the Catholic Church as like an anti-sex work thing and like an anti-porn thing. And then also like a lot of the RadFems, well, I got in so much trouble for saying this, but like, holy shit, there's so many of those people are insanely transphobic. Yeah, damn, wow. Yeah. But like there's this massive battle inside the United Nations between a bunch of feminists or like feminists who are like normal, and then like the shitty RadFem factions and the Catholic Church on the other side. And Pope Benedict in particular goes like all out on this stuff, both on the international level and in terms of like local churches, like goes on the offensive against abortion and queer liberation. And meanwhile, the Protestant church is doing like exactly the same thing. They're like, except like, I think like even more fascist, which is really, really, and I say this as someone who was raised Lutheran, like that is really the core of Protestantism is like, what if we did Catholicism, but like somehow shittier? Like Martin Luther, one day I'm going to do my thing on the world's greatest kind of revolutionaries. And one of them was Martin Luther because,
oh yeah, very quickly.
Because my argument for this is that the greatest kind of revolutionary is the person who starts out on the side of the revolution and then turns against it. And so Martin Luther's thing was he was trying to outflank the Catholic Church in the 1600s from the right on anti-Semitism. Sorry, I meant 16th century, 1500s. Which is even worse. 1500s Catholic Church, this is in the period where they're like expelling all of the Jews from Spain, right? And Martin Luther's trying to like flank them. And this is the kind of shit that's happening like in the US at this point, which is, this is the Protestants sort of following the Catholic, like, well, and in some ways blazing their own trail of going really hard right. So probably the most famous, and I think definitely one of the most important examples of this is the right-wing seizure of the Southern Baptist Convention in 1979. So for people who don't know about the Southern Baptist Convention, they are a very, very large and influential like group of Baptist churches. And they've been kind of like, they'd been anti-segregation. They'd been sort of like trending left. And this is one of the things, this is a very, very famous thing in the history. Like if you, in sort of like the history and mythos of the right wing is like in 1979 at this convention, there's these group of pastors who are like, the church is getting too woke or getting too left wing. And so they scrawled out this plan like on a fucking napkin to like how they were going to take over the church. And they do it. They seize control of the Southern Baptist Convention and they purge all of their enemies. And it is very, very quickly, within a matter of like a couple of years, is converted into this factory for right-wing violence. Yeah, they ruthlessly purge any dissent in the churches. A bunch of churches leave because they're like, who the fuck are these people? Like just these absolute right-wing fanatics, just like have taken control. So a bunch of churches leave, but a lot of them stay. And what their project is that they start creating these sort of totalitarian microstates. This is what they turn churches into, and this is what they turn households into, because these households become enormous centers of abuse. Like just unfathomable amounts of violence get sort of spread out of this stuff. And the way that these things work, right, is you may have seen. Have you seen those like fucking deranged umbrella memes that the Christian right makes on Twitter?
No, I've been.
So there's supposed to be like these like umbrellas, and there's like each umbrella or the umbrella like protects you from a thing. So there's like the family, and inside the family, they're like protected by the authority of the husband, who's protected by the authority of the church, who's protected by the authority of like the theocratic state.
Okay, no, this is like the most cursed Russian doll.
It's awful, and this is just what these people believe, right? And they enforce this through psychological and physical violence. These people they're sending out instruction manuals about how to beat your children, right? And how to do it in ways that you won't get caught. And like when I'm saying that these are like totalitarian microstates, that's not an exaggeration. That is what these households are like. They're unbelievably violent. You as a child are under constant surveillance. You are literally forced through physical violence to maintain their gender norms. And this is the base of the homophobic Christian right. These churches are pumping out shock troopers. And these are the shock troopers both of neoliberalism and homophobic and transphobic violence. And when I say shock troopers, I do mean this literally, because an enormous number of these people, and this is part of the reasons politics starts to fall apart. Like, I grew up around these people. A lot of these people went to fucking Iraq and got the absolute shit blown out of them. But these people, like these churches, this is you can look at the sort of panoply of the people who do right wing like homophobic violence, right? The queer basher, the parent who kicks their kid out of their homes for being gay, the homophobic boss who fires and abuses queer workers, the doctor who assaults us and then denies us medical care. These people are pumped up by the church. And what the church is doing here is they're serving as the equivalent of sort of unions in the left, right? And when I say unions, I'm talking more like the 1907 IWW and like the 2023 AFL-CIO. These churches are the social and organizational space in which the right constructs its world, right? It's the sort of nexus of homophobic organizing from the beginnings of the homophobic right through like their fight against gay marriage. But, come on. Something happened that I think Robke might have suspected this, but something happened that his inheritors did not expect. And that something is, and something I failed to consider is, what if neoliberalism came for the church? So, one of the things that has happened in the last, and I mean literally, we are talking the last 10 years, or 10 to 15 years, really the last like 10 years. Church attendance, and this is also actually true, of synagogue and mosque attendance, although church attendance has been declining way more. It used to be like, if are you a member of a church, mosque, or synagogue, right? Like Gallup has been polling this since the fucking 40s. It used to be the rate of being a member of a church, synagogue, or mosque was for like basically until like 2000, it was hovering around 70%.
Yeah.
It's now 47.
Damn.
That is a catastrophic drop.
Yeah.
That is a rewriting of like fundamentally what the US is. The US has been a like Christian hell state like since it was created, right? Like the US is founded by like religious extremists whose problem is that they weren't allowed to persecute Catholics enough. So this has been a church country, more so than like most of the European countries who did the settling. Up until literally the last 20 years. And the drop between 2010 and now is like 14%. And this is and it's not just that the membership rates are going down, like the actual church attendance is going down. And so in this context where less people are going to a church, less people belong to a church, the political strategies that have been based on using the church as like your default social network, they don't have the kind of reach that they used to.
Yeah.
And if that's your political strategy, this is a catastrophe for you. Now, we can talk, there are lots of reasons this is happening, part of which is sort of like the secularization of the US. Part of this is that there have been so many fucking atrocious abuse scandals in these churches that people are just fucking leaving because that's what happens.
Yeah.
And one one day, the thing I really will get canceled for is when I'm going to the episode I do about how this happened in the DSA and how it just hollowed out the membership. Because, it turns out when people get abused, they just fucking leave.
Yeah, not just the DSA. Like, unfortunately,
this happens in so many organizing. Like, this is this is a big
far too
problem
often on the left.
Right?
Yeah, stop being fucking creeps.
Yeah, but like
fellow cis dudes. Man,
the Christian right has it particularly bad because they don't. They will never address it. Right, this is part of their ideology is that this is good.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, at least in the left, like, it keeps fucking happening. We do recognize it's bad. We sometimes just seemingly people on the left are prepared to allow it to happen because they think it's not as bad as the alternative, which is bullshit. But yeah, when you have a church which actively kind of encourages it, then that's bad, actually.
And part of the other thing that's happening here, right, is that like the other thing that's generating this is just the neoliberal atomization of society. Like it's tearing apart sort of like social bound, and I mean, one of the things I think you have to be careful of when you talk about neoliberalism tearing about social bonds is that a lot of those bonds sucked. Like, it was not good that everyone with 70% of Americans were going to church, right? Like, not good at all. That sucked. It was deeply evil. But, it tears apart, like, it tears apart bonds, not entirely without regard to ideology, but it still does do it. And this means, in this context, has completely reshaped what right-wing, like, anti-queer and anti-trans organizing looks like. And the right now, the right solution to that is the Daily Wire. And we will explain that in very great length tomorrow and the day after that, so stay tuned.
Dun, dun, dun. It's the entry of the bad guy. Well, we already had a bad guy, I guess, but he's dead, these ones.
Yeah, this is the bad guy number 2.
Yeah.
3, 4, maybe after the Catholic Church and the Southern Baptist Convention.
Yeah, they're right up there, though. I mean, they've still got time, too. They're really only in their ascendancy, so we shouldn't judge them too early.
Yep. But yeah, this has been It Could Happen Here. Go make these people's lives miserable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ben Shapiro is miserable because I wrote a piece for Pop Mechanics about how to tear down a statue, and he is still mad about it. Because he said, I can't wait for their piece about Molotov cocktails. And I wrote that as well. So Ben Shapiro can suck it. Thank you for the career help, Ben Shapiro.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabay Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabay brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquid simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no-risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off, plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Pro drivers live for race day, but for small business owners, every day is race day. That's why going pro with Lenovo Pro matters. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors keep your business on the right track. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
Welcome back to It Could Happen Here. a podcast about things falling apart. And whenever you have things falling apart, you have the Daily Wire. I don't know, Garrison, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, the Daily Wire has been our trusted companions among the rise of the alt-right and this kind of just impending sense of bad that has been, increasing the past 5, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, So Mia in the last episode talked about some of the neoliberal conditions that kind of led to this dip in church attendance, and it's resulted in the Christian right kind of changing formations in a few interesting ways. And we're going to talk about that here, but now more specifically about how the Daily Wire has been able to profit off of this shift. So, as third spaces, including churches, die off, online spaces have begun to fill the gaps. From Facebook groups to content creators to conservative streaming services, the organizational hub of the far right has been picked up by opportunistic bloggers and aspiring movie moguls. Which brings us to 2013, a perfect year. Nothing went wrong. Just a normal time. So in 2013, we had failed screenwriter Ben Shapiro and failed movie producer Jeremy Boring. They started working together on a project called Truth Revolt. Now, I assume most of us are somewhat familiar with Ben Shapiro. He was an editor at Breitbart. He started as a young conservative blogger who gained prominence in the 2000s and the 2010s. So I'm not going to waste too much time going into the background of Ben, because I'm guessing we all basically know who Ben Shapiro is. But I'm also guessing that almost no one listening to this probably knows who Jeremy Boring is, hence the name. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on Jeremy. I find Jeremy to be a kind of fascinating person. I almost weirdly enjoy watching his stuff just because I find it to be extremely fascinating. His demeanor, his way of going about creating a conservative media empire, I find to be really intriguing. I've watched Jeremy Boring stuff just as like a voyeuristic observer for years now, and he's actually starting to become more of a prominent face among the right-wing media ecosystem, or at least he's been putting his face out there for a while. Most of the time, he's just been behind the scenes. So, Jeremy Boring is a good Christian boy from a small town in Texas. He got involved in kind of local
town.
Yeah, I forget the exact town because I didn't write it down in the script, but I believe it's somewhere in West Texas, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I watched the 2-hour interview with Jeremy Boring where he discussed his upbringing.
God, I wonder if it's Lufkin. I'm pulling it up. Slayton. Okay. Well, still a dog shit Texas. Okay.
Yeah, see, that's why I didn't mention it, because it's like, who cares?
Yeah, it's in Lubbock County. My
Lubbock.
God.
Yeah. He was kind of involved in some local community theater productions as a kid. And like a lot of kids, he aspired to be an actor. So, as a young adult, he moved to LA. He very soon gave up acting. I think he had one small bit role as like a crying soldier, but besides that, he just couldn't get any work. So instead, he decided to become a struggling screenwriter. Classic move where you're moving from a failed actor
really
to
failing downwards. Yes.
Yes, exactly. In the early 2000s, he got invited to a Hollywood Bible study group with a whole bunch of like young C-list celebrities. And over time, he evolved into a sort of pastoral role within the group. And then in 2007, he was able to write and produce his first movie, Spiral, starring Zachary Levi, who now played Shazam in DC's movies, and really nothing else, because he seems to be a deeply unlikable person who's not really been hired in many other things.
Mm-hmm.
But Zachary Levi was also in this like Christian Bible study group. They were both friends, him and Jeremy Boring, so they made this movie Spiral. It grossed just over $3,000. So, not the smash hit that, you would hope for your first movie.
That is, that's not great.
It's not perfect. Now, Jeremy Boring claims that his religious and political beliefs made it so that he wasn't able to progress very far in the Hollywood system. But he was invited to a secret meeting of conservatives in Hollywood called the Friends of Abe. Now, Robert, you should look up the Friends of Abe logo because it's really good.
Oh my God.
I think people like John Voight and just those sort of like
yeah,
old.
It sounds like a thing John Voight would be a member of. Yes.
Yes, I'm pretty sure John Voight was a member of this group.
God, they're treating it. There was like a Friends of something or other group that was like an underground group providing reproductive health care service back before abortion, back before Roe v. Wade, which is clearly what they're. Oh God, who made this logo? This is like bad clip art.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's quite good. So he was invited to this secret meeting, the Friends of Abe, and this is where he met another friend of the pod, Andrew Breitbart. So this is actually a really important
Kelsey Grammer was a member too. So
yes, a very important weird subcultural community within Hollywood. So as Jeremy was trying to move into just movie producing, he was actually asked to take over this Friends of Abe group. So he became a very central role, and he made a lot of connections that will soon become important when we discuss the Daily Wire's own adventures in movie producing in the next episode or so. So he took over this group eventually. He had this other smaller Bible study group. So he's kind of moving up in the world of conservative secret meetings in Hollywood. So because he met Andrew Breitbart at the Friends of Abe, Andrew Breitbart obviously knows Ben Shapiro because Shapiro used to be the editor at Breitbart News.
Also, I feel the need to note the Friends of Abe was founded by Gary Sinise, who was in such beloved movies as, well, I think the only beloved movie he was in was Forrest Gump, where he played Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, he did?
This is Lieutenant Dan founded the group, which is actually like Lieutenant Dan would be in the Friends of Abe.
True.
That kind of fits. He also had apparently a bit role or some role in Apollo 13. I forget who. So there you go. Gary Sinise. Great.
So around this time is when Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring first met. Just before like 2010, I think. The two met via Andrew Breitbart, whom Ben was working for at the time at Breitbart News. Now, Jeremy and Ben hit it off, and they decided that they would want to work together to create media to quote-unquote influence culture. That's a term that Boring uses quite a lot, is like influencing culture. Now, Boring was very impressed by Shapiro and sought to propel Shapiro's fame and wanted to create a platform to increase Ben's ability to impact politics on a larger scale. He really thought he saw something in Ben that, if utilized, could make Ben into a pretty major celebrity. Boring was friendly with board members of the David Horowitz Freedom Center, an extremely racist, anti-Muslim right-wing think tank, I believe based in LA. Now, Boring thought that Ben and David had a lot in common. They were both very politically feisty Jewish conservatives in the LA scene, and Boring wanted to prepare Ben to sort of carry the torch of the Freedom Center, using all of the resources that David Horowitz have built up over a long period of time. So, for about a year and a half, Boring met with board members behind the scenes to create some sort of buy-in and cast Ben Shapiro as the future for the Freedom Center, planting seeds of what it will be to come. Eventually, David Horowitz chose Ben as the heir to the Freedom Center. First, by giving Shapiro and Boring an opportunity to test things out by starting a company under the Freedom Center called Truth Revolt. Truth Revolt is something that I think I saw it a little bit when I was a younger teen, but it wasn't super popular. Truth Revolt saw some initial success as a conservative quote-unquote news site aimed at exposing leftist media. Shapiro billed Truth Revolt as the quote-unquote anti-media matters. Now Shapiro admits that Truth Revolt ultimately wasn't very sustainable because the whole website was designed around trying to generate traffic by being linked by Drudge Report, And at the time,
that's like literally like a third of right-wing media in the early 2000s to mid-aughts. Like that was Alex Jones's whole strategy for a while too.
Yeah, the whole point was creating headlines that would be linked by this conservative news aggregator. And this isn't a very sustainable business model. At least that's what Ben now claims. And because Truth Revolt was operating under the Freedom Center, it was run as a nonprofit and received very limited funding and little to no advertising budget. But even back then, there was a big focus on creating video content to fill out the site and grow its own YouTube page. I have a wonderful screenshot here of some old Truth Revolt videos from like 9-10 years ago. We have brass tacks on immigration. Andrew Klavan, I think his name is Klavan. He's one of the main Daily Wire guys now, but he was involved way back then. He has a video on Obama conspiracy theories, which I'm sure that's great.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig into that one.
Ben Shapiro has a lot of videos about why Jews vote leftist. We have videos about Hillary Clinton. We have the left's magical thinking. There's another Andrew Klavan video called 50 Shades of Barack Obama. So again, all like very, very like 2012 type stuff here. Like all very like early 20-teens.
They were iterating. They were cooking.
They were cooking, and like cooking, sometimes your first attempt doesn't really work out. Truth Revolt started declining in around early 2015. But Jeremy Boring was working on a business plan with a more marketing-driven approach. Instead of relying on like nonprofit annual donors, Boring wanted to use a more of a for-profit model where they use ad revenue and the larger web traffic generated through marketing on social media, especially on Facebook, to pay for this entire media operation. Now, the old guard of this conservative think tank did not really like this plan. The Freedom Center actually fired Jeremy Boring when he produced this plan to revamp Truth Revolt, and soon after, Ben Shapiro stepped down. This was in April of 2015. Jeremy and Ben attempted to buy out the site, but that didn't pan out, and eventually Truth Revolt just withered away. Do you know what else slowly withers away over time?
You, without the products and services that support this podcast.
That's right. All right, we are back. Thank the maker for all of those wonderful products and services that let me spend about 10 hours a day watching Daily Wire videos so I can write like 4,000 words.
Truly, this was Sophie's grand dream when she began this.
Just have a wall of computers constantly playing Daily Wire plus exclusive content.
That was the pitch we came to corporate with. What if we exposed a man to all of the Daily Wire one could possibly consume?
Oh boy. All right. So Jeremy Boring, failed movie producer, failed screenwriter, has been fired from Truth Revolt. Ben Shapiro, his colleague in arms, steps down in solidarity. We love to see workers unite. So Shapiro and Boring still liked their plan to use ad revenue and social media advertising to make a for-profit media company. So in 2015, they looked for other investors to fund a new website. And it just so happened that around this time, two Texas billionaires, known as the Wilks brothers, were looking to use their fracking fortune to quote-unquote influence culture. There's that term again. Through a mutual friend, Boring was able to secure millions of dollars in seed money from the Wilks, who also later went on to fund PragerU. With an influx of cash on hand, Ben and Jeremy started the Daily Wire, initially just as a conservative news site, but with ambitions to become an entire conservative entertainment production and distribution house. Instead of relying on donors or links from news aggregators, their new approach was focused on creating and cultivating a long-term audience. They first prioritized, quote-unquote, investing in making Ben and other up-and-coming conservative figureheads more famous, in particular using an intentional social media strategy to propel people from out of the conservative bubble into the popular zeitgeist. Specifically, Jeremy Boring worked to increase the personal brand awareness on sites other than Twitter, where generally most of these writers spend most of their social media hours. The point was to not just do it on Twitter, instead do it on the other social media sites where actual, like, regular people spend more of their time. Because it's mostly just other writers on Twitter versus the actual audience that the Daily Wire wanted to attract were mostly spending their time on places like Facebook or Instagram. So 14 months in, the Daily Wire was already cash flow positive. And we see this approach of specifically trying to, like, create celebrity. It really paid off. If you look at how the cultural figure of Ben Shapiro specifically kind of emerged in the mid 2000s, like he became such a meme, such a recognizable character through very simple marketing on like YouTube, on Facebook. It was wildly successful. Like you cannot open up YouTube without seeing a Ben Shapiro destroys college student on campus video, like every single time. Now, on top of making a news site, they also decided to move into podcasting, a very controversial medium. I'm gonna read one quote from Ben here. Quote, "One area that we had no idea was going to be the center of revenue was the actual podcast. When I look back at the business plan, what we had allocated for the amount of revenue from the podcast was minimal compared to how successful the podcast became." And that cannot be understated. The Daily Wire makes a shitload of money on their podcast.
Yeah, we all were surprised by how lucrative podcasting wound up being. Like, because it was around for like a decade or so before before people were really making any money off of it. It kind of snowballed very quickly once advertisers realized it was something they could get in on. But like there was a long time where it was just sort of like a thing weird little guys like Joe Rogan did, and most people didn't really think about them much.
Yeah, and their social media advertising plan also worked outrageously well, especially on Facebook. Routinely over the past few years, stories published by the Daily Wire received more likes, shares, and comments on Facebook than any other news publisher by a wide margin. Shapiro has more followers than the Washington Post. Their engagement outpaces the New York Times, the Washington Post, NBC, CNN, and Fox News on average by over 10 times. And they often get more clicks on their articles than all of those outlets combined. They figured out a really successful method to promoting their news content in a way that really no one else has been able to replicate. Utilizing provocative rage bait propagandized by a select few of online personalities, the Daily Wire has been able to expand the brand recognition of not just their own site, but also the personal brand of its own hosts. Ben and Jeremy brought over some of the people from Truth Revolt, but they were also scouting for new talent among the 2016 conservative sphere to invest their newly acquired fracking resources into. Another quote from Ben is like, "Surround yourself with people who are going to be successful," unquote. Particularly not like going after people who are currently popular, but trying to find up-and-coming content creators who they think they can turn into being much more successful than what they currently started as. Among the people they recruited was the relatively unknown extremist Christian writer and radio talk show host Matt Walsh, who we will get to in a sec. The slightly more famous blogger Candace Owens, who was picked up a few years prior by the conservative student group Turning Point USA to be their, quote, Director of Urban Engagement, which is an awful title.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what they mean by urban engagement. And then in 2020, after being a Daily Wire correspondent for a few years and helping to launch Ted Cruz's own podcast, the Daily Wire hired failed actor Michael Knowles, who's basically a discount Matt Walsh, to host his own podcast. And finally, in 2022, the Daily Wire recruited Jordan Peterson, probably their biggest get to date, after he, quote-unquote, retired from the University of Toronto. The original funding pitch to the Wilkes brothers, who were looking to influence culture, explicitly positioned the Daily Wire not just as a news site, but as a prospective alternative to the liberal Hollywood monopoly. There's a really interesting quote here from Jeremy Boring. Quote, I think there is a path for conservatives to create entertainment, but I think you have to go about it in a roundabout way. We need a marketing and distribution mechanism that allows us to actually put an audience on the target, because Hollywood will never cooperate, even if you manage to make a great film. They'll never cooperate. They'll make it very difficult for you. With Ben and with what we've been doing at Truth Revolt, we can make something that's capable of marketing whatever we produced thereafter for this particular audience, unquote. So there he's emphasizing that no matter the quality of the actual content you create, for this sort of conservative media ecosystem, you first need to actually build an audience that will be able to find it. That's like their first step, is building up this audience, and then they can focus on actually making the content. Just because of how this distribution system works. That at least that was Jeremy's take on that. Do you know what else is really important for building up a sustainable audience?
Products?
That's right. Trustworthy products and services that our audience knows are of fantastic quality. It's the only way.
We are also supported by the Wilkes brothers, but directly through selling hydraulic fracturing technology. So frack your backyard and join the frackvolution.
We're fracking back here. All right. That was just a wonderful frack break. My back feels so much more loose after I just got fracked for like
the house
20
across
minutes.
from me exploded when fracturing fluid released natural gas that was then ignited by an oven.
Speaking of fracking, I think we're both actually, even though we're on different sides of the country, we're both in like a ridiculous cold freeze right now.
It's pretty cold, yes.
It is 22 degrees right now.
Yeah, it's like 16 or something here.
Yeah.
And you're in Atlanta, so you are the last person alive in the entire city.
Yeah, yes. But no, I'm sure fracking has done nothing to contribute to this. Anyway, so let's turn our dials now to 2021. Once again, normal year, nothing bad happened, just a fun time overall. In 2021, the Daily Wire relocated from liberal Hollywood, California to Nashville, Tennessee, with hopes of creating their own conservative entertainment empire in the Music City. After over half a decade of building up an audience, the Daily Wire started to shift towards creating in-house entertainment media like movies and TV, as well as producing their own neatly packaged documentaries to serve as a cultural catalyst in a way that a daily podcast show like The Ben Shapiro Show just can't, right? Like, we put out a daily podcast, and because it's a daily show, it can only have a certain level of impact for all the things we cover in a way that, you know, a highly produced documentary can have like a little bit more like easily observable impact just because of how it's being packaged. So they saw this and decided they wanted to start putting a lot of resources into their own documentaries as well as their podcasts. But it wasn't just documentaries. In 2021, they also distributed their first movie, Run, Hide, Fight. 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is a school shooter thriller movie that I have not watched. I've watched a lot of the Daily Wire's original content. I am not watching Run, Hide, Fight. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, I don't really want to watch Die Hard with school shooters and a teenage girl. That seems a bit on the nose.
No, I simply refuse. 4 other original Daily Wire movies have come out since then, which we'll get to some of those in the next episode. Now, before 2020, the Daily Wire was making some exclusive content behind like a membership paywall for something that they called Daily Wire All Access. But across 2021 and into 2022, they rebranded and pivoted hard into promoting their own subscription-based streaming service, the Daily Wire Plus. Again, they are nothing if not original. This was during a wave of Plus-branded streaming services. We have Disney Plus, we have Paramount Plus. I'm sure there's probably many others that I'm just not going to bother even looking up. But the Daily Wire Plus, the hit new streaming service that I'm sure your great uncle has. Quote, "The Daily Wire Plus is the streaming home of The Daily Wire, Jordan Peterson, Movies, PragerU, and Daily Wire Kids. We're one of America's fastest growing media companies and counter-cultural outlets for news, opinion, and entertainment. We're building the future you want to see." Unquote. That's their little tagline.
Thrilling.
Yes.
Truly the New Line cinema of racism.
Such groundbreaking original content includes My Dinner with Trump.
Oh my God. I hadn't even heard of that one. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding.
What is it actually a My Dinner with Andre parody, or is it just something completely disconnected that they stole a famous title for?
They just stole the famous title for.
God damn it. It would be really funny if it was just a shot-for-shot remake of My Dinner with Andre, but with Andre as Trump. Like, that's respectable.
That's actually respectable.
I would watch that movie tonight.
No,
actually.
it's just a filmed dinner with Trump and like various political advisors.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so lame.
We have.
How'd it do?
I don't believe the Daily Wire is releasing their streaming metrics, just like Netflix. They're keeping them secret.
Similar companies. Yeah.
Very similar. We have other hit documentaries like Kanye West's favorite, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold by Candace Owens.
Oh God.
An extremely racist disinformation documentary about George Floyd. We have that Mandalorian actress's movie Terror on the Prairie. We have a whole bunch of stuff from Jordan Peterson after he left the University of Toronto and got kicked off Twitter. That's the exact time that he was hired at Daily Wire. He's a whole bunch of stuff of just like roundtable discussions on like the Bible, and I believe he has that dragon mythology.
Oh, it's great. Now that's a good show. I've watched all of that one with Cody,
yes.
and we enjoyed ourselves quite a lot.
We have a Making a Murderer ripoff documentary by Candace Owens called Convicting a Murderer. Again, truly original stuff.
Great.
But it's not just movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's also, like we mentioned, their hit podcasts. Quote, "The Daily Wire Plus podcast network is America's 6th largest podcast publisher and produces several of the top-ranked podcasts in America, including The Ben Shapiro Show, The Jordan B. Peterson Podcast, Candace with Candace Owens, The Matt Walsh Show, The Michael Knowles Show, and The Morning Wire. Some of which do quite well on the charts and are often sometimes beaten by Robert's podcast. Anyway, so a little over a year ago, the Daily Wire Plus passed 1 million subscribers. We don't have any updated numbers on that, so it's probably quite higher now. But at least as of around a year ago, they had 1 million subscribers. And again, as of back then, it was bringing in the company 2/3 of its annual revenue. I think it was like 3 or so years ago, they were making $100 million a year. So they were making bank across their podcasts and exclusive content. They have over 300 employees and are still growing and are investing hundreds of millions of dollars into producing original entertainment content. In their efforts to influence politics through entertainment media, they strive to create cultural events around the release of their original documentaries. The biggest success they've had with this was in 2022 with What is a Woman?, which rocketed the Daily Wire Plus into the online spotlight and proved there was great success to be had with this style of aggressive anti-trans advocacy. The film also put the previously niche figure of Matt Walsh on the map and established Walsh as an authority in queer exterminationist campaigning. I've known of Walsh for like the past decade. After he had a short-lived radio career, he made a name in Christian circles as a provocative blogger, sort of like a young firebrand of the Christian right in the early 2010s. He had a brief stint at Glenn Beck's The Blaze before being recruited to the Daily Wire in 2017 to do a daily podcast. The goal of documentaries such as What is a Woman, beyond growing the Daily Wire's subscriber count, is also to encourage real-world action. while converting attention from the documentary into actual real-world harassment campaigns and live events which fuel even more content. It's like this weird content circle that the Daily Wire does. They create content to make these real-world events, which then can fuel more content. It's this perfect loop that generates them a lot of money. On October 21st, 2022, the Daily Wire put on a, quote, rally to end child mutilation at the Tennessee state capitol, which was streamable on Daily Wire Plus. Exactly. This is a perfect example of creating this event that then allows them to also create exclusive content for their own streaming service. The Daily Wire has been in cahoots with the state government of Tennessee ever since they first moved their headquarters there back in 2021. The General Assembly and governor drafted a resolution welcoming the Daily Wire to the state. Jeremy Boring regularly gets invited to dinners at the governor's mansion. After the release of What is a Woman, the governor of Tennessee announced an investigation into a transgender health clinic in Nashville, and Walsh has made appearances at official state press conferences, and Tennessee's legislator has led the charge on following the Daily Wire and Walsh's political program to target trans people, ban drag shows, and lobbying school boards to ban LGBTQ materials in schools. The Daily Wire they were kind of wise to not get too caught up in the Trumpian mud from 2016 to 2020. Instead, focusing on broader culture war issues ranging from anti-liberalism, anti-diversity, parental rights, religious rights, and attacks on LGBTQ people. But that also means that they didn't peak during the Trump era in the way that a lot of other conservative content people kind of did. They chose not to capitalize on the Trumpian alt-right moment, and they were way too smart to go full QAnon. Instead, they were kind of waiting on the sidelines, slowly growing an audience to eventually find the right moment to catalyze more widespread support and thrust themselves into the spotlight. Which they have now done by crafting anti-queer propaganda to pick up the baton from the dying QAnon movement, while moving the needle away from explicitly Q-brained shit to simple stuff like parental rights and the more socially acceptable groomer and save the children talking points. The once more exotic target of pedophilic elites has been shifted to simply any random queer person, which is a much more tangible point of ire. And that's where I'm going to leave us here today, kind of on the point that the Daily Wire waited and found the moment in like the first year or two of the Biden presidency to really push themselves to be the own spotlight instead of just relying in the shadow of Donald Trump in the way that someone like Tucker kind of has now done. He's not nearly as popular as he was in 2017, 2018, 2019, and the Daily Wire is now massively influential in a way that they were only kind of rising to prominence back during the alt-right era. So in the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about the Daily Wire's own anti-queer advocacy and their push for original content, including a brand new child-focused streaming service, which I will talk about in the next episode. Anyway, Robert, do you have any thoughts on the Daily Wire?
Well, I know that the child grooming service they're building, a big part of what they're looking to do is try to copy the show Bluey, which is like the biggest thing in children's entertainment right now. And just casual knowledge of where that is, talking to parents and stuff about Bluey, like I feel like it might be a bridge too far for them. Because they're trying to go after, they're trying to capture like market from something that's legitimately really fucking good, as opposed to just putting like they're kind of most commercially viable movies, like the school shooting movie, are, from what I've read in reviews, like just kind of normal mid movies. Like they don't necessarily feel like a Daily Wire movie. There'll be a couple of points in there maybe, but they could more or less pass for something you'd see on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, which is, you know, if you're competing with mid-grade action movies and the like that are a dime a dozen, you can actually do that fairly well. And it's even possible to like, well, the economics of streaming are actually deeply obscure, but theoretically it's possible to do as well with that as Netflix does with it, right? Sure. Because but if you're trying to replace a children's show that like kids consume voraciously and are deeply in love with, and is really well made, I think that's actually a lot harder than they're guessing it's going to be. Like bored adults who want something to watch when they're drunk at night are a harder audience than little kids who are obsessed with a TV show that is the best in its market.
It's certainly a gamble, and we will talk more about the details of this gamble in the next episode, as we will also eventually talk about their brand new movie that came out last month, Lady Ballers. All right, we're done.
I feel like I should call HR just because you mentioned the name of that movie.
See you in the next episode.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slipcovers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Pro drivers live for race day, but for small business owners, every day is race day. That's why going pro with Lenovo Pro matters. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors keep your business on the right track. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
Oh, we're back.
I started the episode, Garrison. It's up to you now.
Really? What
it's late.
an energetic entry into.
I'm tired. Tell me things that make me sad.
Oh, don't worry, I will. That is my favorite thing to do. Let's talk about things that are actually sad for the first half of this episode. You know, the past few years, it's kind of been increasingly profitable to be friendly to the gays, which is kind of a new trend, you know? If you look at the past 20 years or so, it's becoming more profitable, which, you know, we if you're like a queer accelerationist anarchist, maybe that's a bad thing, right? But if you're just trying to like not get killed in the interim as the climate collapses, it's, you know, maybe a good thing that generally queer acceptance has been improving. But as it's been improving, there's also been a pretty sizable backlash from some members of the Christian right who don't really like this or are trying to use this backlash as a way to promote their own economic interests. And I don't think this needs to be an either or. I think this can definitely be a both scenario. Speaking of, Matthew Walsh, the Catholic self-described fascist. This is going to be kind of the topic of the first half of this, because he's been able, the work he's done has been able to really propel the Daily Wire as an actual like political entity in a way that Shapiro just never really has. Shapiro was really good at creating eye-catching YouTube videos, clickbait and stuff, but we never really saw him campaigning hard for any political cause. He was never really doing that type of stuff.
They come out of different eras in different communities. For one thing, Ben Shapiro is Jewish, and came of age and came into prominence in the early 2000s when conservatives had political power, but basically zero like social power as they saw it, right? And so he was always positioned as like, I am sort of the I'm the insurgent conservative like I'm Rush Limbaugh, you know, I'm going to provide a safe place for you, even though you control the government to a large extent, where I can yell at and make fun of the people that you think are bad, right? And that's the only thing he ever really sought to do, is like, LOL, liberals dumb. Walsh comes out of the Christian kind of dominionist adjacent movement at the very least, and their goal has always been capture the 7 pillars of culture, right? And so he from the beginning has thought of this more as like, I am waging a Christian war against secular society, and doing so like kind of methodically. So they just kind of have approached what they're doing fundamentally from a different way and came into it at different times.
Walsh is definitely the most evangelical Catholic I've ever seen. And which is weird because like back when he was a popular Christian blogger, his stuff was very popular in evangelical circles, even though evangelicals generally are not very friendly to Catholics. But his stuff was widely shared because he was quite provocative. Now, he spent a few years just kind of laying low, running a podcast at the Daily Wire. And then What Is a Woman really, really propelled him into the spotlight. And he got a glimpse of fame and popularity that he's been endlessly trying to replicate. And because this fame was based around hating trans people, that is what he's decided to pivot his whole career to doing. That is his entire focus in life is about how he doesn't like trans people, because it was very profitable for him in 2022. So, as a part of an ongoing right-wing harassment campaign against TikTok influencer and chronic theater kid Dylan Mulvaney, Matt Walsh started a viral boycott campaign against Bud Light for having a brand partnership with a trans person. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time here talking about right-wing boycotts. I'm sure we've all watched, like Nike shoe burnings and Gillette razors being flushed down the toilet and people dropping their Keurigs off rooftops. Generally, boycotts don't tend to work, but this Bud Light thing did show some success. And success in this instance specifically refers to Walsh and the Daily Wire cronies receiving a lot of attention and free publicity. So they sought to replicate this strategy while publicly telegraphing their harassment methodology. Here's two tweets from Matt Walsh. Quote, "Here's what we should do. Pick a victim, gang up on it, and make an example of it. We can't boycott every woke company, or even most of them, but we can pick one. It hardly matters which, and target it with a ruthless boycott campaign. Claim one scalp, then move on to the next. Our goal is to make pride toxic for brands. If they decide to shove this garbage in our face, they should know that they'll pay a price. It won't be worth whatever they think they'll gain. First Bud Light and now Target. Our campaign is making progress. Let's keep it going." So, as Walsh just said there, Walsh's next target was Target, the department store, due to the store's history of prominent pride displays. In the lead up to Pride Month during 2023, Target was met with online and in-person harassment with a wave of emails and calls to individual stores accusing them of grooming and indoctrinating kids with the presence of Pride-themed apparel. People started ransacking stores, destroying Pride displays, threatening violence against employees in person, as well as calling in multiple bomb threats into many, many different stores, mirroring the harassment campaign against trans clinics and hospitals the year prior, which was also spearheaded by Matt Walsh. We've seen this tactic gain prominence. This bomb threat tactic is now quite common among the right. We saw it be called into... There was a lot of bomb threats called into like 400 synagogues this past winter. That was, most likely done by some form of neo-Nazi. But we've just seen this specific bomb threat tactic pick up a lot because it provides a pretty sizable minor or short-term disruption to regular services. Now, in response to this wave of harassment, Target corporate mandated that many stores remove their front-of-store Pride displays in late May, all across the country, but especially in the South. Target released a statement saying they were, quote, "making adjustments to our plans given these volatile circumstances," unquote. And these adjustments included relocating or removing Pride displays due to, quote, "threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being at work," unquote. Employees were also instructed to specifically remove items, quote, "at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior," unquote, like shapewear, binders, and tuck-friendly swimwear, and to, quote, replace them with swimwear to better meet our sales goals, unquote. Now, Walsh claimed that the tuck-friendly swimwear was being marketed to kids, but it only came in adult sizes. A lot of this sort of harassment campaign isn't really based on anything truthful, but that doesn't really matter. Here's a quote from Walsh again, quote, I think this Target boycott has real staying power. Target has now branded itself as a far-left organization to the point where it's embarrassing to shop there. This is the branding that makes the boycott stick. It happened to Bud Light. I think it's happening to Target. This is what conservatives have missed in the past with failed boycott attempts. It's not enough to simply tell people not to shop somewhere or buy something. You have to make it so that they don't want to. So after around 5% sales drop in the second quarter, and again, it's hard to actually figure out what that can be attributed to.
Beer sales also hit like their lowest level in recent history last year, just kind of across the board.
It's hard to see if these things are actually working, but that doesn't matter because the right can claim them as a success.
Yeah.
And Target released an update saying, quote, the reaction is a signal for us to pause, adapt, and learn so that our future approach to these moments balances celebration, inclusivity, and broad-based appeal, unquote. And Walsh claimed this announcement as a, quote, massive victory. Now, I hope many of us aren't, shopping for Pride products at a store like Target, but for a lot of kids and even adults in more conservative areas of the country, Target was really the only place to get gender-affirming clothing like binders and trans-friendly swimsuits in person. These things can be tricky to buy online. Sometimes you don't want a package showing up to your door if you can't be the one to open it. So Target really was the only place for a lot of people to have access to this kind of stuff. Now, last year, Michael Knowles tried to kind of replicate the Matt Walsh strategy because it proved to be very, very successful. So they had Walls going out on doing very similar kind of anti-trans speeches. He spoke at a lot of the big conservative conferences talking about how we need to eliminate transgenderism. He jumped on this boycott stuff and addressed his viewers saying, quote, we need to make the pride symbol toxic for brands. We need to make companies think twice. As we're making these symbols culturally toxic, we've got to come in with more political force to ban this stuff. Don't back down. The progress conservatives have made on this just between 2021 and 2023, the fact that companies are trying to back off shows that we are winning. Keep pushing much, much harder, unquote. And at the very least, local governments were responding to this sort of thing. In another instance of the government being in cahoots with the Daily Wire, on July 5th, 2023, the Attorneys General of Indiana, Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, and South Carolina sent a joint letter addressed to Target's CEO, ostensibly threatening legal action against Target for carrying LGBTQ merchandise. I'm going to read some quotes from this letter because it's a really interesting thing that I've never really seen done before in terms of 5 or 6 of these states all coming together to actually affect the market. Quote, Target's Pride campaign not only raises concerns under our state's child protection and parental rights laws, but also against our state's economic interests as Target shareholders. Target's management has a fiduciary duty to our states as shareholders in the company. The evidence suggests that Target's directors and officers may be negligent in undertaking the Pride campaign, which negatively affected Target's stock price. Moreover, it may have improperly directed company resources for collateral, political, or social goals unrelated to the company's and its shareholders' best interests. It is likely more profitable to sell the type of pride that enshrines the love of the United States. Target's Pride campaign alienates, whereas pride in our country unites. Target's management has no duty to fulfill stores with objectionable goods, let alone endorse or feature them in attention-grabbing displays at the behest of radical activists. However, Target's management does have a fiduciary duty to its shareholders to act in the company's best interests. Target's board and management may not lawfully dilute their fiduciary duties to satisfy the board's, or the left-wing activists' desire to foist contentious political or social agendas upon families and children at the expense of the company's hard-won goodwill and against its best interests, unquote. And It's just generally not a great sign when the government is trying to convince a business that it's in their legal and financial interests to throw the gays to the wolves.
Now, it's also, that's not how fiduciary duty works. Like,
No.
It's not a legal principle. It's a more of a philosophical principle among capitalists that is dominant. But, like, you actually are not breaking the law by doing something that's not in fiduciary interest of your shareholders. That's, among other things, basically impossible to prove. Anyway, whatever. This is all... Like but it's a question of like what you can get away with, right? This is what fascists always do, and it's from a strategic standpoint. If you're looking at the culture war as a kind of mutual insurgency, it's a strategy of denying terrain to the enemy. In this case, access to a place that is available in basically every state where trans people can purchase stuff like binders and get to try them on. Like it's making life, it's reducing maneuvering space for the enemy as they see it.
Yeah, and this campaign worked specifically because of the Christian right's willingness to use physical violence, property destruction, and threats against workers to achieve their goals. That is why Target caved, because enough of their employees were feeling threatened, enough of their displays were being destroyed and ransacked, no one was held accountable, because they're not going to arrest these people for this stuff. And that's what caused this to really have any level of success. Now, during Pride Month, back in 2023, Starbucks union members began coming forward saying that Starbucks and store managers weren't letting employees put up their usual Pride decorations, telling workers that it was a safety concern, citing recent incidents at Target and the manufactured Bud Light controversy. Now, Starbucks corporate claimed that they made no policy changes regarding Pride decorations, but that, quote, retail leaders continue to work with store teams to find ways to celebrate their communities, keeping in mind our safety standards, unquote. So I think this was more up to kind of like local ownership and local management. The union publicized confirmed instances of managers not letting workers wear pride pins or put up flags. And then in early June, a regional director ordered a collection of 100 stores across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri to throw out pride decorations from previous years and were barred from putting up any pride-related decor inside stores. The union claims that there was workers in a total of 21 states that were not allowed to put up pride decorations. And I think for the Daily Wire hosts that are pushing this sort of stuff, and especially Michael Knowles, especially Matt Walsh, their motive is deeply theological for this. But for the Daily Wire, this is deeply economical. Because all of this also serves as free advertising for the Daily Wire, and it builds the personal brand of their hosts, which is the very thing that Jeremy Boring was trying to get started with Ben Shapiro back during Truth Revolt. This was his whole idea, was building up the personal brand of these right-wing media figures. And all of this anti-queer stuff provides really, really great marketing to propel these one-time, very niche figures into actual, like, national spotlight. Do you know what else deserves to be put into the spotlight, Robert?
No, that's a crime. All of my ideas are to suggest crimes, so let's just move on.
I think ads are what deserves
there we go.
the spotlight.
Great.
All right, we are back. It's once again time to talk about the Daily Wire Plus and their hit news streaming service. So, when Jeremy Boring announced the Daily Wire Plus back in 2022, the early marketing was made in response to the Disney company having very, 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 very slight pushback on Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Now, a big part of the Daily Wire Plus announcement was about how Disney has been wokeifying children's TV shows. And so, the Daily Wire decided to position itself as a safe alternative media hub for conservative families. I'm going to play a short clip from the announcement.
There is unbelievable kids' content in the market. The beauty of kids' content is that unlike adult content, there's always new kids, and they go back and watch it. So there's an unbelievable library of content. Most of it's at Disney, let's be honest. But it's not that the content isn't great. It's that you can't trust the platform. You can't put your kids in front of a classic piece of Disney content because you don't know that the very next thing that plays won't be that not-so-secret gay agenda that teaches your daughter that she's a boy. That's why we have to have Daily Wire Plus.
So that is what they're framing the Daily Wire Plus as. That's why the Daily Wire Plus is important. Also, I love how he said that kids' content's so profitable because there keeps being kids, unlike adult content, which doesn't make any sense because kids turn into
does he
adults.
think we stopped aging, but like a plague hit?
It doesn't make any sense at all.
That's like a reverse Children of Men sort of deal.
Anyway,
God, what a mess that would be. Man, that's not a bad idea for a movie. Just people keep making more babies, but they never grow up. So just like a dwindling number of adults and infinite babies. That's not bad. Not a bad idea.
This is why I like watching Jeremy Boring, because there's so many moments like this. Because he's so not charismatic, but his complete void I just can't stop staring into the void.
Yeah, I already just listening to 30 seconds of him, I've had an idea for a multi-million-dollar adaptation, gritty adaptation of the Rugrats. I think we could make a lot of money with this.
So, a press release put out by the Daily Wire itself went into more detail about the company's child content initiative. Now, I'm going to read this. This is a direct quote. Quote, "On Wednesday evening, the Daily Wire's co-CEO and God King, Jeremy Boring, announced at the Daily Wire company town hall that the company will invest a minimum of $100 million over the next 3 years into a line of live-action and animated children's entertainment on its streaming platform," unquote. And that term, God King, is constantly how Jeremy refers to himself, which I guess is supposed to be a joke. But the fact that he does it at all is the actual joke. The fact that he just calls himself the God King is what a perfect look into the soul of just a completely dead man.
Yeah.
The God King of the Daily Wire. That's been like rewritten in like Deadline, Variety, like actual publications have been forced to write the God King, Jeremy Boring. Anyway, so to start this child content initiative, Jeremy brought some writers from Netflix's VeggieTales and the Babylon Bee to head up their kids' content. I have a picture in my script here that Robert can see of Eric Branscombe, which is a great name.
Yeah, that is an amazing name.
Who is the co-creator of the first Daily Wire kids show, Chipchilla. And Robert, do you want to describe what's in this picture of Eric?
Yeah, well, there is a heavy-set man wearing a t-shirt that is, to be frank, a little tighter than is comfortable. He's got a red beard. He has sunglasses on, it looks like right up above his hairline. A massive Confederate flag lines the wall behind him, and he appears to be casually pointing a handgun at his penis.
At his dick, yes.
Can't tell if his finger's through the trigger guard, but I hope so.
Yeah. So that is the co-creator of Chipchilla, which we will get to in a sec. Now, I don't know if this is...
Also, there are 4 to 6 moist spots on his shirt. And it's not a flattering look. I'm not body shaming the man. I'm just saying there are 4 to 6 moist spots on his shirt, and I wouldn't want to be filmed with that many moist spots on my shirt while pointing a gun at my dick in front of a Confederate flag.
Now, I don't know if this is either despite or because of the Daily Wire's constant attacks on how Disney has a gay agenda, but the Daily Wire did manage to acquire some talent from Disney. In August of 2022, they recruited the showrunner of the Emmy-winning animated series Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, Chris Sonnenberg, to be the Senior VP of Animation Development and Production at the Daily Wire. Now, they most likely got this guy via Jeremy Boring's and Sonnenberg's mutual friend Zachary Levi, who again was in Boring's first movie, and Zachary Levi also starred as Flynn Rider in Tangled and this Tangled animated series for the Disney Channel. So I'm guessing this is how this connection was made. But yeah, so this guy who was actually like a very successful like mainstream showrunner for animated shows somehow decided to agree to get hired by the Daily Wire, and this is now his job, is overseeing the animated production for Chipchilla.
Yeah, which is the Bluey knockoff. I mean, yes. I get it. Among other things, there's been a lot of layoffs in animation. I have no doubt that a number of people who don't align ideologically but are desperate for a job and just more morally flexible than others are going to wind up working for this project.
Yeah. So this past October, the Daily Wire's multi-year initiative to create a slate of children's programming finally had something to show. In another live-streamed announcement, Jeremy Boring ranted about how Disney is using their parent-trusted brand to, quote, indoctrinate children into the LGBTQIA cult, unquote. Now, while he praised Walt Disney as an American entrepreneur, Jeremy Boring derided the current state of the Disney company as, quote, pushing all of the worst excesses of the woke left, including paying for employees' abortions, promoting anti-racism training, and, quote, going to war on behalf of the left-wing social policy in Florida, unquote. Boring framed Disney's quite tame political stances as a huge cultural loss for conservatives. And here's a part of that announcement.
It would be impossible to overstate just how big a loss this is for Americans who believe in basic reality. Disney controls the greatest content library ever created. Their cultural reach, particularly with children, is beyond anything that's ever existed. Recognizing the scope of this loss, the Daily Wire announced that we would spend $100 million over 3 years to begin our own kids' entertainment company. And today, on the 100th anniversary of the day Walt Disney founded his company, I'm proud to announce the launch of ours. Introducing Bent Key, an entirely new company for the Daily Wire, a company dedicated to creating the next generation of timeless stories that transport kids into a world of adventure, imagination, and joy.
Okay. So, Bent Key, Robert. How do you feel about the name Bent Key and the Bent Key logo?
The Bent Key logo looks like a flaccid penis.
It does kind of look like a flaccid penis, doesn't it?
I don't know. It's not an appealing name. One thing you've got to say for Walt Disney, and I guess it's impossible to say. Like my head says there's something just kind of inherently attractive about the last name Disney.
Yeah.
That like made it always a good brand. But maybe if he'd been named Bluppo, would it have worked? Would Bluppo Entertainment be the cultural powerhouse that it became? We can't answer. Disney's such a thing. You can't answer it even. Yeah.
They could have gone with Boring Entertainment, but I guess they didn't want to.
That was not going to happen. Bleppo's a better one than Boring.
But yeah, Bent Key. That's the word bent and the word key. And yeah, the logo is this lowercase b with a little droopy arm connecting to the letter K.
Yeah, which doesn't really look like a key, but does look a little bit like an abstracted penis. You've got the B part kind of forming the head. You've got the tines of the key are 2 balls. I would have given it 3 tines if I was making a key, just so it didn't look like balls.
Well, do you know what else is a really important announcement that we have for our audience?
No.
It's these products and services that support this podcast. Pay close attention. This is crucial information about the fight for America and to secure our values.
Okay.
All right, we are back to talk about Bent Key Entertainment, the new hit streaming service that your kids can enjoy. So, the Daily Wire Kids content used to be under the banner of just Daily Wire Kids or DW Kids, right? And the choice to rebrand, even with a name as silly as Bent Key, I think is actually one of their smarter moves here. They recognized that the Daily Wire is a very politically charged and possibly limiting title if they want to create a growing children's media company. Now, ever since What is a Woman and up to their most recent releases like Lady Ballers, the name The Daily Wire has actually been hidden or not included in like legal contracts and forms when people are signing up to these projects. So I think Bentkey allows them to cast the widest net possible to not only, get people to buy their service, but also to get people to collaborate with them on media. And it also works to attract parents that might not even be aware of what the Daily Wire is. It's just this new kids streaming service company. And also, Bentkey Ventures also happens to be the name of the Daily Wire's parent company. So that's probably why they picked it. I still don't know what Bentkey means, but it's also the name of the parent company for the Daily Wire, which is probably the name they're going to use for a lot of like their contracts, and they're trying to like get like actors and like producers to sign into their stuff, because whenever someone sees the Daily Wire on something, if they're smart at all, they'll be like, absolutely not. But if the word Bentkey is on there instead, maybe that won't raise as many red flags. So the new child-focused app is available for only $99 a year. Hell of a steal.
Wow.
And at launch included 150 episodes across 18 different shows, 4 of which were produced in-house, with new episodes airing every Saturday morning. Their flagship show, Chipchilla, is about a family of homeschooled chinchillas. Now, some have pointed out that this appears to be a blatant conservative ripoff of the very popular kids show Bluey.
Yes.
And I have a picture comparing Bluey and Chipchilla here.
Down to the same fucking animation style.
Yeah, except I think this also shows that if you've seen any of the Bluey art, you can compare it to the Chipchilla art. They do look similar in like color palette, but there is a massive difference in like the appealing design of Bluey, which actually looks pretty good, versus the design of the Chipchilla characters just looks slightly off. It looks kind of like they're all on like half a tab of acid. Versus Bluey looks like has like pretty good character design. Like it has a lot of range for like expressions, versus everyone in Chipchilla just all has the same like wide-eyed look.
Pretty widely considered to be like a one of the better children's animated shows that's just existed.
Yeah. So somehow the Blue Dog show must have been too woke. So instead, in the Daily Wire's version, the kids are all homeschooled and operate as like a stereotypical nuclear family.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first show they announced, but they have others. Their other original content includes a show where a middle-aged woman talks to a dog puppet.
God, so yeah, Lamb Chop, okay.
And 2 other original live-action shows star child actors that teach fitness and history to kids. And between all of the Daily Wire original content I've watched, the thing I feel most uncomfortable about is the amount of child actors who've been forced into doing this, who don't know anything about the Daily Wire or like politics. They're just these poor kids who've now been forced to participate in this like evil machine. Now, I'm going to play a 1 minute trailer for Robert. I'm not going to play it for the audience here because you don't need to just hear this ad, but you will hear our reactions afterwards. So here is the trailer for Bentkey.
Oh, God.
How'd you feel about the Bentkey trailer, Robert?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if it takes off. I'm sure it could be a profitable business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of capturing the wider cultural market, I don't see it being a Disney-level success or even like a Nickelodeon-level success. I'm looking at it right now on Twitter. It's got 490 likes and 600-something thousand views. So again, I can see them getting enough downloads to make this maybe worthwhile. If they're spending $30 million or more a year on production, that is going to be kind of hard, especially given like bandwidth costs and shit to I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's able to be a functional business. I don't see anything on there that makes me think, oh, kids are going to fall in love with this shit. Most great like children's networks and children's like entertainment companies were driven by iconic successes that like absolutely took over and were like dominant culturally. You think about like in the early 90s, shit like Aladdin, right? And like or The Lion King, and how fucking everywhere, and how a generation before you had, you know, the earlier generation of Disney animated movies. You think about stuff like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or like the that kind of stuff was not just, it was dominant among kids, but it also like adults continue to watch it for generations. And I've never run into anybody outside of weird right-wing, outside of not even weird right-wing circles, I've never run out into anybody who has not worked for the Daily Wire talking about these shows.
Yes. And I think there's a few things about that. I think, one, they don't need kids to like it. They only need parents to pay the annual fee.
Yeah, for it to make sense as a business. For it to do culturally what they want, rather more is required.
And at least a few years ago, they were pulling in over $100 million in revenue per year. And one thing the Daily Wire has shown is that they are kind of playing the long game with this sort of stuff. They're not looking for short-term profit. They're looking to slowly build dominance in this industry, mostly to just fulfill Jeremy and Ben's dreams of working in Hollywood. Like that's all this is that they're trying to fulfill their childhood dreams of making movies. So all of this is just being put towards making industry connections to be able to actually just make TV and films. Like that's all this is actually for. So, which leads us to the most ambitious upcoming Bentkey production, a live-action fairy tale adaptation written by Jeremy Boring in response to Disney's own upcoming remake of their classic film, Snow White.
The company Disney founded doesn't agree with their founder and visionary. They're remaking their own iconic film nearly 100 years later. They've decided to make some key changes. Their lead actress, the new Snow White, Rachel Ziegler, has summed it up, saying, quote, "I just mean, it's no longer 1937. We absolutely wrote a Snow White that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true." While Disney still uses Walt's name, they've all but abandoned his legacy. Instead of telling stories about timeless truth, what the ancient fairy tales were all about, Disney's new Snow White is an apology for their past and will expose children to the popular but destructive lies of the current moment. Which is why, in addition to announcing the launch of our kids' entertainment company, I also want to announce today that company's first live-action feature film. It's a story about a princess and a prince, about beauty and vanity, about love and its power to raise us from death to life. It's our own adaptation of an ancient fairy tale. It's coming in 2024, and it's called...
So, before I play the rest of the trailer for Robert, there is a few funny things about this clip that I just played for the audience as well. Mostly when he's describing, like, the new Disney Snow White. It's, like, a very, like, sensible message that the lead actor was talking about. He's like, this is horrible! Imagine!
I also don't even think it's a great message. Like, it's a very conservative message that, like, this woman is born to lead, and it is about her finding her place in the bred-in hierarchy of her state. Like, that's a pretty conservative message. They just hate it because a WOM said it.
Yes. But now I will play you the very brief, like, 30-second trailer based on, like, this one thing they've shot.
Once upon a time.
Jesus Christ.
So bad. A tale of timeless truth.
Prince would come.
Wow, little on the nose. Oh my God, she's even got a basket of red apples, the kind of apples that don't exist anywhere but a gene-engineered farm.
Oh my God.
Oh, and it's clearly Snow White. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
So I actually do want to play that for the audience because it's just so funny.
No, keep that in there. That's because, like, the song they've got in there is like completely without wonder. It's just like, once upon a time a prince will come or some shit.
Yeah.
She's like in the woods picking apples that are like a color of red that you don't even see in not a natural red at all. Just profoundly off-putting and weird.
So,
17,000 views. So I don't know. We'll see if this beats the original Snow White or whatever Snow White real actors and writers are making.
So this is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And I'm not sure if you picked this up. This is starring failed actor and the Daily Wire's own Gen Z female clone of Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, as Snow White. It's that other Daily Wire host that looks like a weird female version of Ben Shapiro is starring as Snow White, and it all just looks like really bad cosplay. Like it was quite something. So that is their first Bent Key upcoming original movie. So I'm sure everyone's going to be excited for that one. And like, it seems the entire Bent Key strategy is to either be so banal that it appeals to like unassuming parents who don't know what the Daily Wire is, or to create these like fake culture war outrage moments to scare parents into thinking that woke corporations are trying to turn their kids gay or trying to turn their kids into like feminists. And the only way to stop that is to give the Daily Wire $100 a year to watch failed screenwriters and actors poorly imitate better pieces of film and TV.
I think the trouble they're going to have here is that there's a discrepancy between what would do the best job of achieving what they claim is their social mission, right? Which is incepting conservative ideas into mass culture by taking over pop entertainment. And what is clearly their more important goal, which is making a lot of money. Because the best way to make a lot of money, and I think there's a good chance they can succeed building a content network for their weirdo fans that costs $100 a year. But if they want to reach the most people, the best thing to do would be to get to a point where they can sell their videos streaming to Netflix and the like. But that doesn't keep people in their walled garden, and also probably is less profitable over time than having a monopoly on this shit. And I don't know what they're going to choose to do. That'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing, as a business, this could work for sure. We'll see about the other stuff.
And again, so this is only half of their efforts, because on top of the $100 million put towards children's programming, which has resulted in Bent Key, the Daily Wire Plus was also putting an additional $100 million into more adult-oriented entertainment. Now, most of the Daily Wire's production effort has been going into adapting the Christian Arthurian novels The Pendragon Cycle into a live-action 7-episode miniseries directed by Jeremy Boring. The upcoming fantasy series just wrapped filming in Europe this past fall. The cast is mostly made up of like C-list actors.
Never. I don't know where they made this, Garrison, but never has a production seemed more Croatia than this.
It's filmed in Hungary and Italy, so.
Oh my God! I was close.
There you go.
Okay.
The cast is made up of mostly like C-list actors, some Daily Wire staff, and actors from small roles in like Game of Thrones and The Witcher. So this is coming out later this year. It's based on this series of novels that came out in the 2000s. It's like an Arthurian story, but set slightly before the rise of like England. It's during like the fall of like British Rome, I think is what they call it.
Now, guys, I'm sorry. We all got to see a great Arthurian cycle movie recently, and something tells me this one's going to have a lot less of a guy coming into a scarf.
You don't think this will be as good as The Green Knight?
I don't think we're gonna get a real fucking clear shot of one guy's cum in a scarf. I'll tell you that much.
I trust director Jeremy Boring's vision.
Oh man.
But the project I am the most excited about is that the Daily Wire has acquired exclusive rights to adapt Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged into a television series.
Good.
Oh my God.
That's like being an opponent of the Nazis in 1941 and hearing that they've just invaded the Soviet Union. Like, oh, thank God. Oh, okay, we're on the downswing of this one, boys.
I am so excited to see the libertarian wet dream that's going to be this Atlas Shrugged TV show. There is no one else I would rather adapt to Atlas Shrugged than the Daily Wire.
Probably because Atlas Shrugged is like famously like the least filmable thing of all time. Like it's
The Fountainheads actually could be like a fine movie. But Atlas, I'm excited.
I don't
to see
think
what
you
they
can
do.
make Atlas Shrugged and do. I hope they do shot for shot that one like 70-page speech that what's his name goes on.
Oh yeah,
that's what I really want.
So yeah, I am actually excited to not like hate watch, but like curiously staring into the void watch their Atlas Shrugged show. But the one Daily Wire Plus series that I am not very much excited about is an upcoming adult animated scripted series created by Adam Carolla entitled Mr. Bircham.
God in heaven, yeah, I saw ads for this one.
Yeah. This show's description sounds like the most old man yells at cloud premise I've ever heard. Quote, Mr. Bircham attempts to navigate a world he doesn't understand or approve of. He's befuddled by his gaming streamer's son, Eddie, annoyed at his selfie-taking snowflake students, and is constantly at war with the school district's appointed Jedi, Justice, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion Officer, Mr. Carponzi, unquote. So that's the description of the show, which, I don't know about you, that sounds like a horrible time. The cast includes Carolla as Mr. Bircham, Megyn Kelly, Roseanne Barr, conservative comedian Tyler Fisher, Daily Wire hosts Brett Cooper and Candace Owens, comedian Alonzo Broden, a former Amy Schumer writer Kyle Dunnigan, and unfortunately, Danny Trejo and Patrick Warburton.
That last one hurts. That last one hurts.
I know. I know.
You can't be that hard up, Patrick.
It is
Come
real
on, man.
sad. I am going to play this for the audience because, oh my.
I guess I'm not surprised that being in Venture Brothers didn't pay enough for him to avoid this.
Yeah, and apparently Warburton is a conservative.
Yeah.
I am interested to see what some of these people were told before they agreed to this, because I know the Daily Wire's name has been hidden in a lot of contracts.
Well, and Adam Carolla is a real comedian.
Yeah,
like I didn't say good, but like he is somebody who established a career in Hollywood. Yeah. I get it.
So
yeah, and it looks like fucking Brickleberry and all those other like dog shit, sheep shit cartoons. Yeah,
it looks bad.
Yeah.
Let's have fun listening to this though.
Just tell me what you need. Jump into the first one. Rolling, speed, action.
Sawbuck's looking a little chubby wubby. So I bought some new food.
Amazing voice acting by Megyn Kelly.
Dogs are supposed to eat meat. They're descendants of wolves. You ever see a vegan wolf on the Nature Channel?
I'm a vegan.
Very, very funny vegan
for
show.
closers, ladies. Listen up. Hey,
Oh my god.
Don't do anything stupid, other than last year.
I'm a heteronormative, cisgendered white male. For which I apologize.
I'm black, and that
God.
used to be enough, but I'm also bilingual and I'm non-binary.
We're the Army. We
my
drink
God.
more before 9 a.m. than you Navy pukes do all day.
He rubbed all the fur off his emotional support ferret. The damn thing looked like a four-legged peanut.
Oh, Roseanne Barr. Oh God.
Charity and work. Two words that should never go together. Like women and opinions.
I want to burn
Amazing.
them. They're salty and make me dizzy.
Sorry, just need to find a thingy to fix my gaming chair.
When I was on the construction site, my chair was a 5-gallon bucket. It was also my toilet.
See, what's amazing about that. All of the Megyn Kelly and Candace, like terrible voices, no
Terrible voice
character to
acting.
them. Adam Carolla sounds like a parody of himself. He's going too hard into gruff. Maybe if I see the show, it'll be better because it may just have picked some lines where he was doing that, but there's not much character to his voice. What I will say is, I hate that he's in this, but Patrick Burton still a pro. That man can do a line read. That man knows how to do a fucking line read.
No, it's weird how many of these are like actual comedians who have been who are being forced to read like non-binary, and they're like they don't know what non-binary means. They're just being forced to read a script written by Ben Shapiro, and they're like, "What are these words? It doesn't matter. Just keep going."
Yeah, get your paycheck. I don't know. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's weird because like Adam Carolla, I've never felt anything positive towards or particularly negative towards until recently. I guess now I'm on the negative side. Even with this, I still feel overall good about Patrick Warburton. He's just given me too much. It'll take a lot.
So that is most of what I wanted to talk about, because the only other Daily Wire project I have anything to say about is the movie that came out a few months ago, Lady Ballers. And I could not fit my Lady Ballers thoughts into this episode, because that is going to be its own special event.
That's going to be your Finnegan's Wake.
Yes. So a few weeks ago, I watched it for the first time. I took a lot of notes. I'm going to watch it again here, and we are going to go deep into the production of this movie. This thing was shot. Just as a peek of the writing quality you're about to hear about. The whole script was written in 2 weeks. It was shot in like a month. It stars only Daily Wire hosts. Every single actor they approached for this turned it down because they're like,
Good.
Absolutely not.
No, fuck this shit.
And it is a insightful look into the soul of Jeremy Boring. He wrote, directed, produced, and starred in this thing. It was shot right in Nashville, Tennessee. So that is going to be after the weekend. We're going to have a special episode of me diving into what makes Lady Ballers tick. And is it any funny? The answer is not really. But we will go into the production of this movie, the way this movie tries to work, and what we can learn about how the Daily Wire is going to try to be producing these sorts of comedy films and try to insert itself into the entertainment industry. So that will be the start of next week, our special on Lady Ballers. Any closing thoughts on Bent Key or the Daily Wire Plus as the Daily Wire enters the streaming market, Robert?
Patrick, you don't have to do this. Like, just let us know you need help. We can take care of you. You know,
Patrick, blink 3 times.
We love you.
If you need help with the mortgage, we can crowdfund.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
We can make this work, buddy. We can make this work.
Anyway, well, that does it for us today. I hope you learned something about Jeremy Boring, the most forgettable man with the most accurate name.
Yep. All right, guys. Bye. Hey, we'll be back Monday with more episodes every week from now until the heat death of the universe.
It Could Happen Here is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more podcasts from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find sources for It Could Happen Here updated monthly at coolzonemedia.com/sources. Thanks for listening.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabei, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.